Hey, punks. So, we're going to do something a little different this week, considering it's Easter weekend. For a lot of us, this weekend is for faith and for family. And for others, it's a chance to unwind and take a breather from the grind. All of it's important. And we don't want to take you away from that. With that said, we also want to make sure our fans, you all, get a dose of RockMental. So, this week we'll be featuring some of ours and some of yours favorite clips from our past episodes. This will give us a chance to spend a weekend with our families, but give you a chance to catch up on some of our most memorable segments. Sit back and enjoy these clips. Check the badges up here for the full episode links. And as always, thanks for watching and keep on rocking.
All right, moving along. What we got, Figured?
We have our first discussion topic.
Ooh,
yeah.
What we got?
You guys want to talk about the Grammys?
Ooh,
I never want to talk about
the Gram. What?
I gotta admit, it was like a 15-year block where I forgot the Grammys existed.
Yeah.
Just this music was not. It was okay.
Childish Gambino won a few years back.
Okay,
but sometimes they get it right with the pop music.
Yeah.
But
it's yeah.
I know.
It's hard. Okay, I think I want to talk specifically about the rock and alternative categories.
Yeah.
okay.
First off, there's not enough categories in pop and in hip hop and in rap. There are like
9 or 10, yeah.
like 9 or 10 subcategories.
Mm-hmm.
In rock, there's best rock performance, best alternative performance, best metal performance, best rock album, and best alternative album.
Yeah.
That's
I
it.
think there's best new as well.
There's
There's
new-
6.
Yeah.
There's 6.
Yeah.
Okay, the only other categories that have less subcategories is Christian music,
Ooh.
and what was the other one?
It was historical music.
Historical.
What is historical music?
So
I'm not even sure.
so first off, alternative isn't a genre. It's just something that doesn't sound like you think it should sound.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So like alternative covers everything from Nirvana
Uh-huh.
to Blue Nicotine
Yeah.
to Luke Haney to Weezer.
I think alternative is like a cop out for people who don't know how to put things in the correct genre.
Well, it's like post punk. What the hell does that mean?
Exactly. Well, and even in metal, there's so many subgenres, subgenres
There's
in
even
metal.
There's even alt metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
And there's progressive metal.
My biggest problem with the alternative label is I know it probably happened this year. You'll see a lot of nominations for best metal performance, and then that same band is nominated for best alternative album.
Yeah.
I was like, even Grammys can't make up their own mind.
They're making up their own rules. Okay, so this year, Saint Vincent, which amazing artist, amazing
Oh,
band.
she's
Saint
incredible.
She's amazing.
She's incredible.
She got nominated for best rock performance and best alternative performance for 2 different songs from the same album. Like, I just like an explanation from the Grammys. Like, how do you distinguish what's a rock performance and what's an alternative performance?
So I think I need to propose something.
Okay.
Country music has its own awards.
Oh.
Can we not have the same for rock music?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it.
What I'm
should,
saying
we
though
should.
is, so me personally, I know I'm gonna get hate for this. I feel country is just an extension of pop music for the most part.
Nowadays, yes.
Nowadays,
yeah.
yes. I mean, the country from my era is not the same as a country from now.
Yeah.
But they have their own award show, and it's actually pretty good if you like country music, and it's pretty well represented as far as new artists go, the established artists, the older artists. So
Well,
you'll still
except
have
Beyonce.
except Beyonce. Well, Beyonce and Shabuzi kind of mixing things up,
Yeah.
but you have the classics like Clint Black,
Mm-hmm.
Alan Jackson, even though he's
Yeah.
you got the newer stuff like I couldn't even name any, and then you got the newer stuff, so it's kind of well
Taylor Swift.
represented.
Yeah.
But you go to rock and it's like, hey, the Rolling Stones won a Grammy 50 years after they recorded this song.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we got to take a look at the winners. and to that point, we're gonna come back to the Rock Awards. We're gonna come back to that. But out of Saint Vincent, Idols, Pearl Jam,
What else was there?
you know who won Best Rock Performance? The Beatles.
90
The
years later.
Beatles. Okay, here's what. Okay, I'm not knocking the Beatles. I don't personally. I'm not jamming the Beatles all the time. I'm not one of those people like the Beatles are so important. I'm whatever. I'm whatever.
Mhm.
And I listen to the song. I'm not
disappointing.
ignorant. I listen to that song. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right now
The
and
problem
then.
is, you had other nominees who released things this year or this past
Exactly.
couple
No,
years.
I'm a Beatles fan.
Okay,
I'll admit, Lil Grumpy is jamming Beatles left and
Mhm.
right,
I'm
a Beatles
as you
fan.
should. Okay,
but I get the point. You re-release a song decades later, and
Yeah,
you're gonna award it instead of all these up and coming artists
Yeah.
that are putting out new music
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and really, really good music. I get it.
Yes.
Idols isn't for everybody,
yeah,
but their music is incredible.
and this new
Saint
album
Vincent
is too.
is probably one of the best guitar players ever.
yes, absolutely.
Ever. She is incredible.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that the Beatles
Nope.
are 50 years later better than Idols
Yeah.
or Saint
Well,
Vincent
and
or any of these other bands.
And it's not even about who's better. The fact of the matter is that this song "Now and Then" by the Beatles was recorded 50 years ago.
Yeah, the album was a compilation of their discography from 1967 to 1973.
Exactly, and it gets nominated for Best Rock Song in 2025.
That shouldn't be.
This
That
goes-
was nominated. It won.
It won
Yeah,
over Pearl Jam. At least Pearl Jam's putting out new music.
yeah. Pearl Jam,
Green Day had an
Gojira.
amazing
Green Day.
album.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right? And then you go over to Best Rock Album, and you had Idols,
Hmm.
you had Green Day, you had all these great
Saint
bands, and who
Vincent.
won? The Rolling
Rolling
Stones.
Stones.
The Rolling Stones, okay, I have some pretty controversial opinions about the Beatles,
Ooh, okay.
but the Rolling Stones, I think, did more for rock music than the Beatles did.
Mm.
The Beatles,
I agree.
Ooh.
the Beatles,
I agree.
by far,
Whoa.
I agree on that point.
the Beatles
Whoa.
shaped pop music.
I don't know if Grumpy agrees with you.
Ooh.
I don't, but
But the Rolling Stones did
we
more
have
for
30
rock.
minutes, so
Okay.
I don't know.
Dude, the Hollies are better than the Beatles, by the way.
Okay, I will say
As
to
you
your
should.
point, we gotta separate it. The Beatles revolutionized the music industry.
Yes.
The way we record things, the way they tour, the way they
Yeah,
market
promote, yeah.
and promote their music. The Beatles absolutely 100% revolutionized. But for the music, I agree with him. The Rolling Stones had such a bigger influence on the music because without let's figure it out. Without the Rolling Stones, you wouldn't have a Deep Purple or Led Zeppelin.
No, I'm not discrediting the
Yeah.
the Rolling Stones. Yes, they're pivotal. They're landmarks. Of course, they influence,
Mm-hmm.
but the Beatles walked so everyone else could run.
I
At least,
okay, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that point. But like at the same time,
and if you're talking about the music, dear God,
no, the music
just
is
yesterday in itself, a magnificent piece of
I'm not saying they don't make great music. I'm going to equate it to another thing you're going to hate. The Red Hot Chili Peppers
great. Oh,
and Faith No More.
oh,
There would be no Red Hot Chili Peppers without Faith No More. I have the receipts over here.
oh,
Yeah, I said it. Mike Patton influenced more music that we listen to today than Anthony Kiedis and the Red Hot Chili Peppers ever did.
Dang.
that one stinks
This
too.
is-
Yeah.
Yikes.
Faith No More, Mr. Bungle.
I,
Go ask the Corns and the Deftones, Rage Against the Machines, where they got their influence from. All of them are going to say Mr.
Well-
Bungle.
well-
Are they going to say Red Hot Chili Peppers?
well, Fieldy from Korn did say his direct influence was Flea.
yeah.
On the playing
Well,
bass
I'm not
guitar.
saying they didn't influence some of
Yeah.
it, but to have an impact on the music that we listen to today, the Red Hot Chili Peppers play funk, rock, metal, whatever.
Yeah, that's yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say their music isn't great. They have excellent music.
Well, according to the Grammys, they're alternative.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course.
Exactly. But Faith No More, Mr. Bungle have influenced the music that we love more than the
Okay.
Red Hot Chili Peppers. That's kind of
Ooh.
how I equate it.
Okay.
The Beatles made incredible music, and their music made an impact not just on some rock music, but on pop music in
Yeah,
general.
yes, I
mean,
will not discredit that. That is-
Jack White can name Beatles songs by like the first two
Yes.
notes,
Very true.
and their music is iconic. You cannot say enough.
No.
I can't say enough about the Red Hot Chili Peppers either. They're an incredible band,
Yeah.
but they're no Rolling Stones, and they're
Yeah.
no Faith No More or Mr. Bungle.
Eesh.
Yeah, the
Ooh,
influence,
hot take. That's gonna be a hot take video
the
on YouTube.
influence,
Dang.
the influence alone
Yeah.
on the music we listen today, I will take Rolling Stones, Faith No More, and
Yeah.
Mr. Bungle.
But I mean, but going back, like, okay, the Rolling Stones winning best rock album. Don't get me wrong, Rolling Stones are amazing. I love the Rolling Stones just as much as anybody. But again, you know, you have a lot. And I'm not being like the Chapeau Roan fans. I'm like, oh my God, she should have won. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm just, there needs to be consideration for that. And I think what can help is expanding these subcategories of rock music, because the putting the Rolling Stones in the same camp as Green Day, to me, it's not who's better. They're just so different that I don't
Yes.
think there's a fair judge of
Yeah.
their greatness, because it's like saying, oh well, Beyonce's better than Bon Iver.
yeah, there's no comparison.
There's no comparison. You
Yeah.
can't compare it to.
You know, it's finally coming to me now. Another one that was nominated, one of my personal favorites, Brittany Howard, which just jammed in there too, and it's just completely different, completely different
is.
in its own.
She was an
beautiful
alternative,
way.
right?
Yeah, she was an
Yeah.
alternative.
But she plays like blues
Yeah.
rock.
Yeah,
Like how is she not included in that? They include Beyonce in country because she made a
Yeah.
country
Yeah.
album.
Yeah,
But you can't include her in like another category.
And like, how about some of these like Latin artists, like Maná?
Mm.
Do you put them in the Latin album, or do you put them in the rock album?
Better than you two.
Oh, that's gonna be a hot take for another time.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's
I
get
agree.
into the-
I agree. I agree. with that one.
Get into the hot
But-
takes later.
That's a hot take. Okay, but that's the thing, is the Grammys are doing such a big disservice. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of bands out there that just don't give a shit about the
Yeah.
Grammys. Let's face
Yeah.
it. I will say they did get it right with metal performance. Gojira with Mea Culpa.
that's the one.
Oh
you
my
wanna
God.
name.
Oh
That
my
was-
God. I mean,
Yes.
as much as I would say Screaming Suicide by Metallica was such an amazing song, not a pivotal song, especially us talking about mental health and, you know, the importance of talking about it.
Oh yeah.
Mea Culpa was like, I had that on repeat ever since the Olympics,
We were jamming that song.
right?
the other day.
I have to say, Gojira performing at the Olympics, at the opening ceremony in front of billions of people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's the same pivotal event for metal music as when Metallica performed at the Grammys in 1989.
Well,
Ooh.
That level.
Gojira is the metal band now. They
Now,
are
yes.
they are metal right now.
Yes.
You can't get better than them.
No.
Yeah.
And you have the Gingers, the Spirit Boxes that are awesome.
Yeah.
But Gojira right now is just incredible. But what I will say is this. You guys remember when MTV played music?
They play music?
Back in,
No, like there's MTV still a thing. I thought music died.
what I will say is they got metal music right. You guys remember the Headbangers Ball?
Yes, they did. Yep.
They had
absolutely.
a show
No, I'm
dedicated
younger.
just to metal.
Yep.
And it was awesome because you got these metal artists coming up and just talking about metal music
Yeah.
like everything else didn't exist.
Yeah.
And MTV itself has categories for its awards
Yeah.
just for metal music, new metal,
New metal.
Yeah.
southern rock. Like they have so many categories
Yeah.
that I think it justifies rock music, not just metal, but all rock music to have its own award show.
Yeah, we got a chat. I remember when MTV used to play metal back then, or
Yeah,
music back then.
Yeah.
They believe it or not,
Then you've had offer one.
yeah. It was one of those I guess eras when music actually was the most important thing.
Yeah. Because I mean, you had bands. It wasn't just like the White Snakes and the Van Halens with the big hair. Like you had some, like I think Anthrax was on.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
You had Faith No More. I think was
Faith
on.
No More was
you
on
had
there.
a lot of these awesome bands that weren't getting on the radio.
Nope.
You know, I mean, Metallica didn't get on the radio till Injustice for All.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, for thrash metal bands, that was the only avenue until Metallica MTV provided that thing. Like to your point.
Yeah. And they played like the unedited version of like Unforgiven, right? Like the
Yeah.
7-minute version of the video. Like you'll hear it on the radio. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long.
They
and
cut
did-
out the most important parts.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what MTV got right about metal music.
Yeah.
Now, reality TV is a whole different thing.
We'll get
It
into that
destroyed
in a
MTV.
different-
Yeah, it destroyed MTV.
Well, I mean, even then, like Road Rules and the Real World, like
Yeah.
the old school ones were good. Now it's just
Yeah, well, the first Real World changed TV.
that
like,
was the first reality
They
show.
talked about real stuff,
Yeah.
not Jersey Shore
Oh god.
hijinks, like real
Oh,
stuff.
God. Yeah, they did.
And they got it right at first, but then it became more popular than the music. And I think that's
That's gonna be another hot take. Which
I've got a
which season of Real World?
I've
was
got
the
a
best?
closing question for the discussion because we're running out of time here.
All right,
okay.
All right.
What would you guys rate on like a letter scale of how the Grammys did this year?
F.
F.
Groupie?
Can we give him a G? To Mayhem's point, and I think there are metal awards. It's just
Mhm.
small, but I think
Yeah.
it needs to be all encompassing for rock,
Mhm.
for the emos.
Or
Mhm.
just give them their own awards, like
But-
the Country Music Awards.
yeah,
Mhm.
the rock music.
I mean, to
awards.
be fair, if you're gonna make a rock music awards, you know, the really, really rock bands
Yeah.
will not attend because only posers attend that
True.
stuff.
True. That's true. But either way, Grammys do better,
Please.
please.
And to your answer, I didn't even watch.
That's enough of a explanation for me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, around there, northern New Mexico.
All
I
right.
believe.
What's up?
There we
Okay.
go, what's up?
Cool.
So, anyways, we're about to get to talk about some breakups. So the big one last week was Mastodon.
Yeah,
yeah,
with
that's
Brett
right.
Hines.
Yeah, we went over
Yeah.
that one.
we went through that. Then they got in a fan to
Mhm.
fill in on
Oh,
guitar. I mean, he's really good. Don't get me wrong. He's throwing us some stuff. He's really
that
good.
Marky Mark movie style.
Yeah, pretty much.
Get a fan in there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brent Hines, he is not, but he
got-
he held his own. You have to admit.
Oh, okay.
He's
With a
pretty
band
good.
like Mastodon, though, they've been around for a
long
while.
time.
Yeah.
So to fill those shoes, I mean, those are some big shoes. And on top of that, a founding member.
Yeah,
no kidding.
That's rough.
that
That's
takes some.
rough.
That takes some cojones.
Yeah,
For real.
but we've had a couple of other ones for not
Yeah.
really great reasons. You had the jaw breakup.
Yeah, I saw that
Oh
one.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know, I saw them cancel their shows. I didn't know they're like breaking up.
yeah.
I didn't know until I saw some breaking news on YouTube. I forgot the gentleman's name, the creator's name, but wow.
This is a guitarist, right?
Yeah, the guitarist apparently doing some
Not so good human
Pretty
being
not
stuff.
okay
Not-
things.
Not okay things.
First off, there's the money.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah.
allegedly stole some money.
Also,
Not cool.
don't take our word for it. Go check their post on Instagram. It has the whole story.
Yeah,
It's like-
exactly.
yeah.
So
Revenue.
This is not speculation.
there's not speculation. The band themselves put this out after they announced the breakup, and apparently there's some financial stuff using band money for like a certain site for people to sell certain images and videos of themselves.
Oh, yes.
And if I mean, if you're going to embezzle money,
don't be dumb.
First off, I
Don't
get
leave a
everybody.
paper trail.
Everybody's got needs, man. Don't
Which
get me
is
wrong.
fine.
Which
Not
is
judging.
fine, not my thing, but okay. But second, I think the consensual stuff, like photos being uploaded,
Yeah.
Him
like-
taking photos
While
of their
not
band members.
conscious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I didn't really get whether they were like, sexual in nature, but still creepy.
Very
Yeah,
creepy.
very creepy.
Still creepy. And first off, it's one thing to take photos of your band. And then it's another thing to take photos of your band when they're not
Conscious.
conscious or awake to
Yeah.
consent to that. And then it's an entirely different thing to allegedly post these online
Yeah.
after not receiving consent for them, and apparently in not great
Taste.
yeah.
All right, 1 second. Bane's Menace, just follow us on Instagram. Huge shout out. Thank
Oh,
All right, babe.
Dang.
All right. Yeah, we got to follow. Watch out for that code.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so just kind of shitty.
Yeah.
But my question is, if Mastodon and Brent Hines can reach this split and Mastodon still survive, how can a band like Gel, like I don't know what the division of work is or who owns what, but you would think bring in another guitarist who isn't a douchebag.
Oh, yeah.
I'm fairly certain that the vast majority of metalheads out there are decent people that just want to make great music.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about this. Gel is honestly one of my favorite up and comers. I think.
Yeah.
Even figured.
Yeah,
right?
that was my favorite band for a while.
Yeah.
They were my introduction to hardcore music. Like
Oh.
that was the first band I listened to. So
Yeah.
I mean, but just how the abuse maybe they went through, how
yeah,
True.
bad did
Yeah.
it have to be for them to just be.
To just say, you know what, we're done.
And
It's
who's
not
to,
even worth my mental state right now to keep
Mhm.
going.
yeah, and what's to say that was the only thing that he did?
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
true.
Like
Very true.
it could have been the straw that broke the proverbial camel's
true.
back.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So
Well, hopefully we'll see a new, if not a
Revamped
reformed
version.
Gel,
Yeah.
maybe a spin-off band or something like that with most of the original members.
Maybe
Maybe
they-
that's a legal thing. That
call it Hairspray.
maybe
Yeah.
I was gonna say moose.
Yeah,
hairspray. Boom.
Pomade.
Hello.
Pomade.
Chutney.
Sorry, we're dumb.
Sorry.
Just do look on.
It's got a.
Uncle.
gorilla.
You gotta.
That stuff actually works, dude.
I'm still washing it out of my hair from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a similar situation with the band, the punk band Zulu. So Zulu, for those of you who don't know, I think either all or majority African American band.
Yep.
They sing a lot about, left-leaning ideals and stuff like that, just like a lot of punk bands. But apparently, the lead singer, has been accused of some very unsavory things involving consent and sex, apparently.
Oh,
And
geez.
Okay.
they just straight up, instead of playing the PR game, they said, we don't accept this, we're going to break up.
You gotta head to that. I mean,
Yeah.
that there's
Honestly,
right. There's like a zero tolerance
Exactly.
Yes.
for some that kind of behavior, right?
Exactly. And especially what they're singing about. I mean, this is
Yeah.
an unapologetic left-leaning punk band. They sing about things that,
Yeah.
that are very important to society today, especially revolving around consent, but in their community, in the Black community especially, just the misrepresentation in
Mhm.
society and stuff like that. And to have something like this happen where the lead singer, it's one thing for the guitarist,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when you have the lead singer, the literal face of the band, committing allegedly these acts, I don't know, man.
Speaks for. We talked about accountability a few
Yeah.
episodes back.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not the person in question, but accountability of the rest of the band members, knowing
Yeah,
what they've been trying to represent.
Yeah.
Knowing they
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
continue representing
Exactly.
in that
exactly.
sense, like maybe a rebranding, but knowing that accountability of knowing like we can't continue on
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
as we are with the same name. With-
if we're trying to promote a certain agenda, like we can't have
Yes.
that also being tied with our name.
That
Yes.
that could be very damaging for their brand. I mean, every band has a brand.
Yeah.
And I think this would be very damaging. But at the same time, there's two stories. Two sides to every story.
Yeah, granted.
Obviously, if this person did something that broke the law, they have their date in court. But I think it speaks to what the band knows to so quickly just break up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And either trying to preserve some sort of, I guess, what their meaning is, like as far as what a band they're going to be,
Yeah.
what kind of morals that they want to have and things like that. If they knew something, maybe they know a lot more than is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently this gentleman put his own I guess statement out. I haven't had an opportunity. This happened just within the past day or so.
Yeah.
But apparently came out with their own statement. I honestly am not one to judge. If something happened, obviously it needs to be investigated.
Yeah.
If this is a circumstance where this, something was misunderstood, or maybe there's an allegation that was baseless, I mean, this person has every right to defend themselves. But I think it speaks a lot for the band making that decision to say, hey, we can't continue on like this.
Yeah. It's interesting how, I mean, my background's in communications and public relations. And so like crisis communications has always been like a thing. And it's interesting how these punk and hard rock bands are doing something right that I think just in general organizations and companies can take a page from. Because like you said, a lot of times it's just, let's just hide it. Let's just bury it. Let's just try to, get to the news next cycle. We'll work past it. We'll just do a quiet breakup and just say, hey, this person's whatever. Like try to make shit up. And that's not cool.
Yeah.
It's not cool because like to your point, Grumpy, like there needs to be some sort of accountability. Somebody messed up. And what better way to signal to your fans, to the people that like, that follow you and that support you, to say, we're going to take action because we care.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like that to me should be a lesson for.
You should have to stand for something.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, we talked about accountability and what Dave Grohl did, when those the stories started coming about his infidelity.
Yeah, man, that was a while ago.
That was a long time ago.
In rock music years, that's like decades.
Yeah. But I mean, for him to like own up, he released his video. He didn't let the tabloids tell a story. He just said, yeah, I fucked up. I did this. I have to deal with it, and I'm dealing with it. And, moving forward, to me, that's like, gold in terms of communicating to your audience. Like, I'm taking accountability, or for Zulu and Gel, like, we're taking accountability for our band members, and because they care. And to me, like that is the most authentic and probably the most,
especially if they care about their message.
Exactly.
Image they're trying to portray so
yeah,
we've come a long way from bands like, was it Lost Prophets with their lead singer Ian whatever, who's just horrible. What he's been convicted of, he's been convicted of just horrible
stuff.
We've come a long way from bands kind of, did they know about it? Like, they had to know something at some point. I do as a creep, but we've come a long way from that. Maybe Morrissey. That was or Morrissey, to now where bands are like, no, zero tolerance for that kind of nonsense. We'd rather start a new band than have to deal with your nonsense. And I think that's a great thing.
Like associated with a band that person's also associated with.
Yeah, it's tough.
That is very true. And there's other bands like Escuela Grind. I think we featured a couple of their songs.
Oh yeah.
Not rising to that level of obviously victimizing somebody, but apparently being rude to people. I honestly don't know what to think. I mean, rock stars are rock stars, I guess, are artists. But you have one thing where you have somebody allegedly making other people feel unsafe, or making somebody feel like they're not as valued. That's one thing. And granted, nobody wants to be made feel unsafe, but there's a big line when you start victimizing people, like the Lost Prophets guy. There's a huge line, I think. And I'm following the Escuela Grind thing only because I want to see kind of what the band does in response. Because obviously, if this is true, the band has a right to defend themselves. But if it's true, though, what is the band going to do in response to that?
Exactly.
So like they're at kind of like, I feel it's a similar situation in that there's allegations of things that are not great. But there's nothing to the extent like taking a picture of someone while they're unconscious. Or allegedly assaulting somebody. Those are two very different, I think.
And I mean, we can spend all day like, this one was worse than this one. But wrong is wrong.
Shitty is shitty, and
shitty
accountability needs to be held.
Exactly. I mean, it goes back to the mosh pit, right? We talk about the number one rule in the mosh pit is if you see someone fall down, you pick them up.
Back.
Really, the unofficial rule number 2 of the mosh pit is don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Just don't be an asshole. Like, just general common sense.
I think we've all seen people overdoing it
Yeah.
in the mosh pit or doing something they shouldn't be doing,
Mm-hmm.
rightfully getting their teeth knocked in because you just messed with the wrong person or the people are just watching out for each other. They don't want
Exactly.
this asshole and they're victimizing people. And that's a perfect example of, you know, what we see from these groups is,
Yeah.
okay, what is allowable here?
Yeah.
Is somebody who's in the pit just going a little extra really just needs to get it out, or are they out there purposely trying to hurt somebody?
Exactly.
Exactly.
I think you have here in this situation with the gentleman from Zulu and the guitarist from Gel purposely hurting somebody,
Yeah.
allegedly, whereas you have people from a different band who maybe just had a bad night, maybe just didn't like the person,
Yeah.
but it's kind of a similar situation, but I don't think like
To that
as
extent.
extreme.
It's extreme, yeah.
Yeah.
So what does accountability look like then if it's just somebody being a dick versus
Yeah.
somebody actually
Breaking the
victimizing
law.
somebody? So I mean, those are questions for our society in
General.
general. But when we're talking about, you know, policing our own communities, how do we do that? I think is a healthy conversation we all need to have.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Cool. Yeah, a lot going on. Tell us what you all think in the comments. You know, what's your take, and you know what how do you think accountability in our community is important? You know, I
Yeah.
think that's an important discussion. Well, I mean, kind of transitioning over, you did talk about, you know, you went through a little bit of manic
Oh yeah.
episode this week.
This
Talk
week
about
was
that.
a little rough. You know, a lot of stress, both here at the job, at home. And I got kicked into this weird manic thing where I was just having trouble sleeping, still kind of depressed and stuff like that, but really just having a lot of trouble sleeping. And when that happens, you know, it's easy to fall back on bad habits. For me, it's the drink. You know, you're up
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock in the morning, not a lot to do. You know, you can
Yeah.
only play so much Minecraft and watch so much YouTube
Yeah.
before you're like, you know, few drinks will help me go to sleep. But I was fortunate enough to be able to abstain from that,
That's
and
good. That's good.
I actually focused on the music.
Good.
Good.
I took the time and just listened to bands. And what's great is when I'm like in this headspace is I'm actually listening to the music, like
Yeah.
what they're saying, the mood of the song and stuff like that. I'm just focused. Like it's weird because I'm so focused on everything when I'm in this phase, but when the music comes on, I'm just focused on the music. So that was very therapeutic for me. And you know, I'm not a health professional or a mental health professional by any means, but what I can say is the help that I've gotten these past 10-15 years worked.
Yeah.
Like before, I mean, you guys saw how bad my drinking,
Yeah.
you
It was
know,
bad.
it got bad. And looking back at it, you know, being able to recognize, okay, you know, I really want a beer right now. I don't have any right now. I need a and realizing, you know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. There's probably not a lot of places open, and drinking isn't that great for you either. It's not a solution to that.
Yeah.
And I what I can say is that the treatment that I've gotten so far has led to this point where it doesn't get rid of the temptations. It just makes it easier to recognize, all right, this is an opportunity. You know, every temptation is an opportunity to make the right.
Yep.
So I got the temptation to drink, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something constructive. I got bands I need to listen to. I committed to this.
That's right.
I committed to this project. Let's get to it. And I added 17 bands to our playlist. And I'm happy to say that, you know, every band there contributed to me, not just staying sober, but being able to cope with that.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
I mean, you know, it was challenging. I mean, I think whenever there's like a big like Super Bowl, we all got together and everything like that, and kind of recovering from something like that, even something as simple as having people over, like
Yeah.
you know, readjusting,
Mentally
like,
exhausting.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like, oh wait, we got to get back to it. Okay, there's school, there's work, there's a bunch of other things, and you know, with my ADHD, my time management is already crap. You know, and so, you know, and there's a lot to do. around the house, researching bands. And I'll admit, I did not manage my time very well this week. And so I'm here on Friday kind of like, oh crap, what do I need to do? I already picked out my band, but trying to listen to other music, trying to get out of my metal hard rock zone, trying to listen to things, it was hard. And so that is something that I'm still dealing with on my ADHD side, and trying to provide myself structure, which when those of you who have ADHD know, like, giving yourself structure is almost an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Because there is no structure. But yeah, no, I feel you on that. And but yeah, like I think we're very fortunate to have RockMental, because it's given us, like you said, on to help with your manic episodes. It helps me just like, okay, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
I committed to this. I need to hold myself accountable. I need to make the time to do something, because I'm held accountable to you two, and to Figured, and to Madman, and to everyone watching, and for our viewers and our now 1,000 subscribers.
Yes.
And that's a responsibility that I need to take in this position, but also for me, for myself. So that it was tough, but it was a good lesson learned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
What about you?
All right. Go with mine. Busy week, but did have a little bit of a down week. Someone really close to me had, an episode of themselves too.
Oh dang.
And unfortunately, ended almost in a self-harm situation.
Oh jeez.
And it's hard to try to deal with that as a we talk about it here as an outsider. When it happened to me, seeing everyone trying to help me out, but it was hard seeing someone you love, you're close with, and trying to hope for the best and trying to get them the help.
That's right.
So it was a downer week for me too, but kind of like to you mentioning all the therapy that I've been going to, as well as myself,
right,
trying to catch all these little quirks that I have, or little in my head thoughts that where it can take me somewhere darker. Just trying to catch myself beforehand and be like, okay, you've been here before.
Yeah.
You know how to react better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
that's the beauty of therapy. It doesn't fix your problems. It just makes you better prepared to handle them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Well, it gives you the tools you need to
100%.
deal, because it's foolish to think nothing's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Right? Shit happens. Things are going to happen. Disappointments happen. Things outside of your control are going to happen. And all three of us are in therapy.
Mm-hmm.
It works.
4. I'm in
Oh, 4. That's right. 4. That's right. Everyone back there too. And it's helpful because it gives you those tools. And I'm glad that with this event, that Grumpy, you were able to lean on that.
And we were able to get this person help as well.
That's right.
So that being said, I was hoping to go to our little next part, where yes, we are not pros at what we're speaking about. We can just speak from our experience.
That's right.
But as it happened to me this week, we can be the helping hand.
That's right.
We can be the one to help. Just never doubt the reaching out, that one hand out, how much help that can be.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And let these people around that may need help. There's resources out there. They don't need to feel alone. They don't need to feel isolated. And there's
Absolutely.
resources out there to help them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you're talking about it is one more strike against the stigma.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're here to say fuck the stigma. Let's not shy away from talking about these issues. Let's not think that, oh, this is a private matter, or it is a private matter, but let's not use it as an excuse to not talk about it.
Mm.
Because I think what ends up happening is, especially for those of you who have gone through crisis, who have thought about possibly hurting yourself or even
Mhm.
trying or making that attempt.
Mhm.
It's terrible and it sucks and you feel so alone and you feel so helpless. But I think just by having someone listen and talk to you and talk about it, that you know it's okay to talk about these things.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for. That's what RockMental is for. Because we want to eliminate the stigma, have us be able to have these tough conversations and allow us towards a path for healing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Fuck the stigma. And that's something you're going to see on a lot of our merch is just fuck the stigma. Talk about it. Nobody is going to commit suicide because you ask them, are you
Exactly.
thinking of hurting yourself? Nobody is going to be depressed because you ask them, are you depressed?
Yeah.
These are all ways to just start a conversation. Fuck the stigma about talking about it.
Yeah.
It's not convenient and it's not pretty and
Yeah.
pleasant,
Yeah.
but guys, we have a
have
community
to.
here where we could talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're in crisis, tell somebody. If you see somebody struggling, ask them, are you okay? Do you need help?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Dude, 988 is available to everybody, not
That's
just
right.
those who are in crisis, but those who see somebody who's struggling.
That's
They'll give
right.
you, tips for helping people, give you ways to bring up in conversation.
That's
how to
right.
address it. If you really know somebody who may need help, I mean, 988's the easiest way to go.
That's
it's
right.
already on your phone. Just dial it. It's very simple. On our webpage, rockmental.com/help, we do have links to 988 and things like that. But more than anything, just get into some help.
Mhm.
That's right.
Just talk to somebody. The worst thing that can happen if you talk to somebody about your problems is you don't connect with that person, move on to the next one.
Yeah, even
And-
some of the people right now saying that they were dealing with stuff this week and last week.
That's
like,
right. I think that's 50
we're
Short
not
Blades.
we're not speaking like you're the only person going through something. Everybody here is
That's
going
right.
through something. So
That's
fully
right.
understanding that.
And we're all here for each other. We're all here
Mhm.
for one another. We're standing up. We're all in the mosh pit together, right?
Mhm.
We're raging. Some of us get knocked down, and guess what? We're here to pick you up. That's what this is for. And I will say, for those of you who know someone who's going through something, you don't know where to start, or you don't even think that it's your, right or responsibility. I'm going to say, yes, it absolutely is.
Oh, yeah.
It absolutely is your right. It absolutely is your responsibility to intervene, to ask them what's going on. Feel encouraged to do that, because that question, that call, that text message, that could be it for that person to get help. So please, rockmental.com/help. There's resources there. Like Mayhem said, 988. Whether you're going through crisis or someone else is going through crisis, start there. And let's all get on the path for healing. Like I said, we're not professionals. We're not licensed medical psychologists or anything. We're just telling our truths.
Mm.
And we want you to feel open talking about your truth and owning it.
Yeah.
And, we want to see you at the next show. That's
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
it. That's it.
Would you guys like to talk about Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance?
I believe we do.
Well,
Right.
yes, we will. I believe.
Yes. Yes.
There's a question. That,
Yeah, so the big question with this Super Bowl is, do you guys think the Chiefs or the Drake had it worse this Super Bowl?
The Drake,
Uh,
the Chiefs, or the
the
Drake?
Chiefs had a worse Super Bowl.
So I will say, as far as a year goes, the Chiefs had an incredible year. Just a really bad Sunday.
Yeah.
The Drake has had just a really rough year.
And an even worse Sunday.
And an even worse Sunday.
I mean,
So-
we got to see Patty Mahomes' face and his distraught.
Yes.
We didn't get to see the
We didn't get to
Drakes.
see
This,
the Drakes.
we just felt it.
Yes. I felt honestly, I felt a little bad for him.
Yeah.
Like he,
I didn't.
I'm gonna say this. He kind of did it to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't-
Yes.
You don't pick a fight with someone like Kendrick Lamar and expect to, just come out of it unscathed.
Okay. Even a year ago, J. Cole was like, you know what,
Yeah, J. Cole's like,
I'm out.
Hey, go for it.
Kendrick, my apologies. I will back up now.
Well,
And I think J. Cole's a tremendous artist.
Yeah.
yeah. J. Cole made a business decision.
Yeah.
Yes, he's like, you know what? I'm going to sit this one out. I will go ahead and just sit this one out. Say whatever you want to say, but I love you both. And he let the Drake and Kendrick Lamar go at it, and
Yeah.
I think we've seen
We've
seen
what happens.
what happens.
5 Grammys.
I will say, the Chiefs were having a worse Super Bowl up until the halftime. They probably looked up at the TV like, oh damn, I guess we're not that bad.
0-27, and then they were like, "Oh, nobody's paid attention, right?"
Okay,
We're an afterthought now.
Oh, you
will
guys
say,
saw?
though, this is probably the first Super Bowl that I can remember where people are talking more about the halftime show than they're actually talking about the game. So last year was all about the Chiefs and Taylor Swift and oh, they're such a great
back to back.
But then you come to this year, it's all about Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
That's right.
And it was kind of a forgettable game just to.
It was a blowout.
It was a blowout. And I mean, just based on the performance of Kansas City, the Eagles, you have to give them their props. Just dominant all year, dominant all through the playoffs, and dominant in the Super Bowl. You have to give them their credit.
I still hate them.
But you have to give them their credit where credit's due.
I don't like the Eagles, but I loved it.
I will say that Kendrick Lamar was the Eagles this year against Drake. Yeah. Every corner, every response, it was like Kendrick Lamar was already prepared, was a step ahead.
Damn.
And I think just the video for Not Like Us is a perfect example. Just so much imagery and response. Like, didn't respond directly to some of the disses, but he just showed it.
Well, and you brought up the stats though. Like Kendrick Lamar's halftime performance, just on YouTube, already has more views than last year's halftime performer.
62 million views in 5 days. It's been a full year since the Ursher.
Actually, Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl surpassed Michael Jackson's Super Bowl in viewers. Live viewers.
As far as viewership goes, and I think this speaks not only to just what an incredible artist Kendrick Lamar is as a rapper.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say it right now. He is one of the most important artists of our lifetime in any medium.
I agree. I agree.
And
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that.
I want you to think about this: the genius, the entendres, the imagery. I have watched. I'll talk about this a little. I had kind of a rough week. I hit a little bit of a manic phase. Had trouble sleeping, and I watched that Super Bowl halftime show probably a dozen times, looking for new imagery, new lyrics, like the entendres and stuff like that. And I realized this dude's a fucking genius because I watched this thing a dozen times just trying to figure out what the hell he's saying and all this imagery and what it means. And I'm hearing the lyrics over and over, and I'm kind of singing along to it. And the more you listen to it, the more it reinforces his message. And at the end, when he's like, turn this TV off, I'm like, I'm going to turn this TV off. And it's genius. He is a genius just based on just how he forms his craft, like how he crafts his music, the imagery he uses, the entendres is just incredible.
I will say, I'm not as connected with the hip hop scene or the rap scene like you guys are. I'm not that much vested in the whole conflict with the Drake or whatever. But I will say, just watching it from my, outside perspective, I do got to say, that was probably one of the most flawless, well executed halftime show.
Yeah.
If not ever, in a long time. I mean,
because there's always been memes about like people messing up with us,
right?
Super Bowl.
Like, and if it's not the artist, because sometimes you can tell the artist is like nervous, and like, I mean, it's the whole world watching. This is a worldwide spectacle, the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl halftime show is probably one of the most important shows for music artists ever. And so the fact that not only Kendrick was just on point, the choreography, the dancers, the everything was just so spot on. And quite honestly, because like, remember the memes from that Katy Perry Super Bowl with the left shark was all remember? Like, it became a thing, but it became about that shark and not about the artist.
Oh yeah.
Well,
the same last year, the cover up, so to speak, for Alicia Keys' voice, like it cracked at first, right?
It did.
But then when you go back and watch it, perfect. And so there's that. I mean, I love Alicia Keys, but she kind of missed that note, man.
She's human.
She's
Yeah, she's
human.
human.
Leave my
And
girlfriend alone.
It didn't, in my opinion, didn't take away from the performance at all.
No.
I think she did an incredible job. It's just little things like that
Yeah.
get caught, and
Yeah.
you didn't see that this year.
Nope.
No,
I would say this is probably the most flawless performance since probably Lady Gaga.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
I would venture to say that.
oh,
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
And
forgotten about Lady Gaga's. That was a good one.
That was a good, she fell from the freaking
That was a
thing,
very
like
good
from the
one.
roof.
And
Remember that?
the other thing is just how much courage, the guts it took for this guy. In his opening said, "You picked the right time, but the wrong guy." And on the 50-yard line of the Super Bowl, the most televised sporting events in this hemisphere,
Yep.
in front of tens of thousands of fans,
Looked at the camera,
looked at the camera
smiled.
and called the Drake a very yeah. And not only that, performed music criticizing not just Drake, but our entire American society
Dang, yeah.
on the 50-yard line in front of the president of the United States.
That's some balls right there.
We've
That
been talking about this 15 minutes. We haven't even brought up Sam Jackson
oh yeah.
as Uncle Sam. There's so many layers to this.
Yeah.
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 Oh yeah, I got into the bootcut jeans. I got into like, so there's that whole segment in the middle where he's like the good Kendrick singing the songs that
Yes.
people want to
Mhm.
hear, and you have these caricatures of black women with straight hair, overly expressive, and then you have SZA, just a gorgeous woman, her gorgeous natural hair singing,
hmm
just an incredible song. You have Serena Williams, doing the sea walk there. I mean,
Which is another diss.
another diss, a layer of disses there, not just against the Drake, but culture itself. Didn't she get in trouble for sea walking after Wimbledon or something
Yeah,
like
something like that. Yeah.
So it's not just a diss to Drake, but just society in general. And in one of his diss tracks, he talks about how he doesn't just hate Drake, he hates everything Drake stands for. And I kind of got from the performance and some of his music before is it's not just Drake as a person. Jake personifies everything Kendrick Lamar hates about the music industry. So when he looked at the camera and said, "Hey Drake, I heard you like him young," he's like, "Hey music industry, I heard you like him young."
Oh, dang.
Whoa.
And I added that whole level.
Whoa.
I was pretty sleep deprived. And,
Oh man.
you know, could mean something, could mean something, but that's how in depth people
Yeah.
get into some of his music, and it's genius. It
Yeah.
is genius.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's some pretty deep cuts there. I gotta say,
Yeah.
but I know we did a shortly after we put it out there on YouTube. We got a lot of reaction to it, which is
Yeah.
really cool.
There's a
Everyone was
joke, guys.
watching.
I know who Kendrick Lamar is.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Hell of a halftime show. It was just amazing. We expect this level of analysis from now on, ma'am.
I will, if I'm still kind of in a manic weird thing, by all means I'll get some pen and paper and sorry, but not our culture. I
Yep.
observe from afar. I cannot speak about the things he's talking about, the struggles,
Yeah.
but as art, I mean,
Yeah.
my God,
It was amazing.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
As an artist,
Yeah.
he's just amazing.
And I get that, his kind of music isn't for everybody.
Mhm.
I'm sure Cannibal Corpse isn't for everybody.
Exactly.
But I think as an artist, as someone who makes a living creating art and creating music, you got to respect that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He, in my opinion, first ballot Hall of Famer in the Rock and
Yeah.
Roll Hall of Fame. He's already won so many awards. A Pulitzer Prize winning
Mhm.
artist.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how he's not already in discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I've got something before we move on.
Yes, I was
Monkey
looking at
Man,
it.
he said, "What advice do you guys have for dealing with immense pressure or expectations?"
Oh, wow.
That is
That's
a-
tough.
Man, we're
a tough
going
question.
straight off the top.
Yeah,
Man.
All right.
Well, I mean, there's a lot there. I think for a lot of us, I think we've been there, right?
yeah.
Pressure
there.
from family, from jobs, from significant others, from different responsibilities and things. And yeah, it's tough. It sucks sometimes. And I think trying to always live up to an expectation is almost an impossible task,
Yeah.
right? So I think, at least in my experience, what things that have helped is just clarifying, okay, what is the expectation and what I cannot do? And also communicate to communicate to those people, you know what? This is what I can do today. What can I do today that I can accomplish, and break it up into chunk size? And if there's a failure in the communicating those expectations, straight up have that conversation.
Yeah.
I cannot physically do this. I can do this. Can we meet somewhere in the middle? Or if there's an opportunity to ask for help, ask for that help, man.
Yeah.
It sucks. I know it's been there. For me particularly, jobs have just been very demanding and just not knowing. So hopefully, it's a monkey man.
Yes.
Whatever you're going through, man, hope you can get some help, and don't be afraid to have that conversation. I think that's the biggest thing.
Oh yeah.
He's absolutely right about the communication. One of my biggest problems is always feeling stretched out.
Yeah.
The pressure, the expectations from work, from family, from being a father, it's immense sometimes. It feels like my attention is needed in like 5 different areas at once. And he's right. Chaotic is right. You need to communicate, especially with your loved ones, the ones sometimes you feel you have this pressure from.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I'm feeling. Don't suffer in your anxiety, in the pressure that you create in your own head.
Yeah.
Voice it. Talk to the people you love the most, the ones you feel maybe need the most from you, and manage those expectations and manage, the anxiety inside you.
Yeah. And so he's saying also, Monkey Man is saying that he's, getting into that time where he needs to apply for college and things like that and feeling a lot of immense pressure. So my first question would be, is these pressure, these expectations placed on you by somebody else, or is this something internal? Because we also have a lot of expectations of ourselves that can be unrealistic as well.
For sure.
I could have an expectation that I'm going to go run a half marathon, which I'm physically unable to do. So, I can torture myself and try to do that thing, try to prepare for a half marathon, knowing that it's not feasible.
All right.
So that's one
So
thing.
actually, Monkey Man, I was in the same exact situation. So I grew up low middle class with my mom, and my whole mom's side was like, you got to go to college, you got to get perfect grades, you got to do all this.
Yep.
And I got no help for the things that I needed help for. My personal mental health, my physical health, things like that. I was too focused on getting good grades and stuff that I was putting aside the things that were actually important. So and what you're saying is living up to expectations that you're the golden ticket child. I've also been through that.
Yeah.
Look at my child. He did so much. Look at him. He got all A's. Look at him. He was honor roll. Look at him. He won the spelling bee or something.
Yeah.
Like, all that just builds pressure. And sometimes you just got to voice to your parents, hey, I'm not that perfect. I'm going to mess up. And maybe right now, I don't know if this is you or not, but I had to tell my mom that I wasn't going to college because it wasn't for me. I was not good at school. I hated school.
Yeah.
But being able to talk to your parents like that is very important. And if they don't understand, they don't understand. But I think if they truly love you, they will understand and they will support you.
Yeah. And even have that conversation with yourself. Like, what do you really want? Is this something? I mean, you're obviously looking towards the future, which is an awesome thing. It's an exciting part. It's an exciting time in your life. It's really cool. And I can tell you right now, at that age, we're dudes in, our middle age. And I can tell you what you do or don't do right now is, can have lasting effects, but it can also lead to other exciting things.
Oh yeah.
So you don't have to figure out everything right now. Your life is not written right now.
I'm also assuming, since you're talking about applying for colleges and stuff, you're around 18, 19. So I'm also there, and it takes a lot for you to be like, okay, I'm not a full-blown adult yet. I don't have to have everything figured out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel there's a pressure too that I'd be doing wrong by myself.
So I am Figure's dad, and you know, school just wasn't working out. And one day we just had an honest conversation, and Bigger just said, look, man, school, I'm not built for school, or school's not built for me. Either way, it's just not working out. And I think that was probably the first time he was absolutely honest with me.
Yeah.
And he started describing a lot of symptoms that I knew pointed towards something that I'm not, equipped to help him with. So, getting him into some therapy to teach him skills, to deal with school, if that's what he wanted to continue doing. But dude, some people just don't want to go to college, and some people just don't have to. I mean, if you are wanting to be, for instance, a mechanic of any kind, you don't necessarily need college to do that. I think we put a lot of pressure on kids to go to college that just either want to go into a field that you don't need college, or college is just placed on you because that's where we think everybody should go. But,
or if college is in your plan, if that's something that you do strive for and want to achieve for, it's also not the end all be all. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, and in my previous professional experience, I can tell you, like, a lot of times there's so much currency, I guess, there's so much weight we put on people who go to college, or which college people go to. And I'm just gonna be straight up with you, dude. It doesn't matter. No one gives a shit. If college is for you, do it because you want to do it.
That was gonna be my point.
You're right. If that's your path, do it. But do it for you.
He says he's 16. He skipped some years. So I was in the same situation. I was 17 going into college, and I was not ready. So you have to talk to yourself, have some like internal monologue, take some personal inventory, and be like, am I ready to take this next step to start talking to people older than me, to start taking classes that our adults should be taking.
And to your point, dude, I mean, it's you're looking at things with a clear head, it sounds like. Yes, if you go to college right now, you're going to be hanging out with people that are a lot older than you, and not able to relate to some of the things you're going through. And so that also takes some stock into what your experience is. And so I mean, right now what you're doing with us is exactly the kind of conversations you should be having with yourself, with what's going on,
and your counselors at school.
Counselors at school. Because there's the golden boy, right? The golden child syndrome. It's real, man. It's real. 100%. And you have, even at 16, you have as much say in your life
absolutely
as anyone else. And you have absolutely the authority to say, you know what? I don't want this, or I'm feeling this.
And one last thing I will say is something I tell my boys all the time. You don't have to figure it out today.
Exactly.
Dude, you're 16 years old. You really, just in my experience, and again, I'm not a professional, this is just from my experience, you have until you're like 30 to really figure something out.
I'm almost 40. I still haven't had
exactly
out,
I laugh because my current career, outside of this, I didn't really choose it. It kind of chose me. I just kind of the same situation, a lot of pressure to finish school. I really wasn't prepared to be an adult. And I think, you have a while. I originally was going to be a physical therapist, or try to be a physical therapist. And then I decided I didn't like that. So I tried education, decided I didn't like that. Tried psychology, decided not to like that. It's a whole thing. Dude, you've got a long time. Yes. Talk to your parents. That's the first place to go. Let them know what you have planned for your future. This is your future. Right? If they're supportive, they're supportive. If they're not, there's going to be people that are supportive. And you're afraid of making friends in college, dude. You're going to make so many friends in college. The friends you make in college often are multiples of what you make at high school. High school is one of those areas that kind of filters people where they're going, right?
It's
Some
very
people are
cliquey
going
in
to
high
trades,
school.
some people are going to school,
Yeah.
but you end up at a place where people are trying to achieve the same thing. You're gonna be taking classes with the same people, and eventually you're gonna just make friendships with
That's
these
cool.
people.
All right, so I gotta say something real quick because he said, I'm afraid my scholarship will go away if I don't go this year, and I won't be able to afford it otherwise. So I was in this exact same situation. I don't know how, like, you're like what you're going through right now aligns like so perfectly with what I went through.
Yeah.
So I had college paid for. I had I had my card paid for, and I didn't have to pay rent because I was living with my parents, and then I also had a job. So I was basically set for the perfect life, quote unquote, what people would think is the perfect life. You're going to college, you got your card paid for, you don't have to pay any bills, anything like that. So I failed my first semester of college like horribly, and I went to my dad and I was like, or no, the first semester I didn't tell my dad. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing fine. Then the second semester I
knew.
failed again, and I was like, oh, something's wrong. I'm not good at this. What's the problem?
Yeah.
So I started talking to my counselors, and then my counselor was like, you need to talk to your parents. Have you not talked to your parents? And I was like, let me talk to my dad. So then I talked to him, and he was like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Don't start pushing
Yeah.
it just because you have a scholarship or everything paid for doesn't mean you have to do it. Going to school for free is the same as not going to school because you don't pay
Yeah.
for it.
Well, and to your point about, not wanting your parents to feel like they're the ones giving pressure. One thing I did learn in therapy is like, when you feel something, when you have an emotion, when you're feeling, especially a negative one, like pressure, things like that. For us, it's just generally, we want to assign a cause to it, right? But you really don't have to. So you can express that you're feeling pressure without saying that they're the cause of you feeling pressure. You can say I'm feeling anxious and just leave like that. And I will say, hopefully, as a parent, those are things I want to know.
Yes.
Those are things I want my kids to tell me, and we'll figure it out. So absolutely, dude. Hoping the best, hoping that you can have that conversation, talk to your counselors on the scholarship side of things. Absolutely, talk to your counselors, see what's out there. I know there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, if you're already at 16 and getting ready to graduate college, man,
That's insane.
you're gonna be good.
You're gonna be fine.
So,
And dude, there's nothing wrong with going to your parents saying, I don't know how to fix this. There's just some pressure. Let's sit down. Let's find a mental health professional to talk with that we all can sit down with to talk through things through. 980, it's a good place to start, man.
Yeah.
And I was letting Figure, explain his situation before I went to mine. I felt a little, if it was very similar. I was always a good student. I had school locked down. School, I don't want to say if it was for me, but I found it easy.
Yeah.
But it did not alleviate the pressure of not knowing what I was going to do with it, not knowing the expectations. I was the first one in my family to go to college.
Yeah.
And it was like this unsurmountable expectation of like, am I going to be the one that helps my whole family, from this lower middle class that we're at, or just the expectation of my mom being proud and wanting her to study what she wanted me to study. It's if school is for you or isn't for you, it's a conversation to have with yourself, with your parents. If it is for you, my 2 cents would be like, make the best out of it. Find something you want to study. Don't, like you had a few career changes within school. I started the first semester trying to say, yeah, I'm going to be a doctor. I didn't really want to be a doctor. God knows if I would have gotten through school, but I didn't really, my mom wanted me to be a doctor. But it wasn't even until like closer to graduation. I was good enough student to pass all my classes, but it wasn't closer to graduation. I was like, what do I want to do?
Exactly.
And even then, I
kind of like, what now?
What now? Even then, I what I'm doing now is a little bit different from what I studied.
Yeah, I went to college for 2 years and changed my major 3 times.
Yeah, I went to college for 6 years.
Yeah.
Because I decided 3 years in, I don't want to study this anymore. But yeah, no, perfect thing, Monkey Man. Yeah, talk to who you need to talk to. Talk to your professors, talk to your sponsors, talk to your counselors. And there's a solution.
There is.
There will be a solution. to figure out how this works and to hopefully get you in a better place, mentally, and to get you prepared and set up. Because I mean, let's say you do go to college. There's plenty of people that can help, and there's plenty of support systems that will get you.
There's plenty of people who are going to be in your position too. So be vocal. Don't be shy. Don't. I like to tell people, don't suffer in silence.
Yeah.
It really brings you further down.
Yeah. And Monkey Man, what you brought up is honestly what I think a lot of people go through.
Yeah.
Is the don't really know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
The first thing is just ask. Hey, this is what I'm feeling. Can you help me through this?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, man. And more power to you for recognizing it. This young, I didn't know shit at 16.
No? Oh yeah, I should have gone with.
And don't. And you were talking about what kind of school, Ivy school, and all. Don't worry about that. Honestly, don't. I had the same expectations about myself, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I still did well for myself. But it's don't have that expectation. I have a lot of good friends who have masters now and PhDs, and they went ahead and started in community college because that was their path. That was what, like, more logical step, like the next stepping stone for them that eased them better to it. It's just finding what you're comfortable with, finding something that's not gonna, set you up where you're isolating yourself more.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Sebastian, he's an educator. So listen to him. Monkey Man, there's a lot of the same pressures being experienced around. You're not the only one.
Yeah.
But your story and your voice is important. So absolutely feel if there's anything that we could help you with is just to encourage you to put your voice to power.
Yeah.
Say your piece, say your truth, and just say, hey man, this is what I'm feeling. Because and it sounds like you're gonna kick ass, dude.
Yeah.
You're gonna kick some ass and you're gonna do what you need to do. So it's just encourage you to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you said, go to where you're getting support. Dude, check in back with us next week or via email. You have our info at rockmental.com is our general email address. Check in with us, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Let us know how you're doing. I think it's important to have these kind of conversations because there's kids just like you that are going through the same thing. Lower middle class people have a very weird relationship with money.
Yeah.
And you're
still do.
Yeah, same here.
And we're not lower middle class anymore, but we still have a very weird relationship with money. That could be a huge part of it. Really, a mental health professional, your guidance counselor at school is going to be able to take all of these factors in your life and determine, okay, he needs to learn how to manage money or learn how to manage time, or he just needs to learn how this, the financial aid process.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be information that helps you, free you from some of that. And it's also going to be, just facing those fears.
And unfortunately, a lot of times, like a lot of students don't know how to ask without asking. And sometimes to get those support systems and to get those things, you just need to ask.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out, man. This is our whole mission, helping people who need help.
Stay for the whole show. Like, I know we get a little bit sappy here or some advice or everything, but stay for the whole show. We'll make you laugh. You'll find some great music and check in with us. Weekly.
He's gonna go sit down with his parents and talk to
cool.
the professor.
All right, man.
Sounds good.
Go ahead.
Have a great day with us.
Monkey
Hopefully,
Thank you so much.
we got your back, dude.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Is that the end of that topic?
I believe so.
Alright. I have one more hot take. My hot take. I said it to some of the people here.
This is gonna piss some people off.
Yes.
I haven't heard this.
He hasn't heard this one.
Right.
So buckle up. My hot take is, as a vocalist exclusively, not a lyricist, I believe Serge Tankian from System of a Down is better than Chino Moreno from Deftones.
I'm kicking you out.
Oh, baby.
The house.
You say the
As a
hottest
vocalist?
hot take.
As a vocalist exclusively, because say Serge can write a song, right? And he's also got his own music. What I'm saying is, as a vocalist for System of a Down and as a vocalist for Deftones, I believe Serge is better than Chino Moreno.
I'm gonna say is System of a Down needed another lead singer.
Oh, you're going the opposite way.
They needed two.
Dang.
So,
Okay. I'm gonna take emotion out of this.
all right.
I'm processing
Because-
this right
because-
now.
I love both bands. I grew up with both
Don't get me
bands.
wrong. I love Deftones.
Toxicity and
Yeah.
White Pony were two of the most influential albums growing up and becoming an adult. Both of them had such crazy raw emotions. I was in a crappy band in high school and we covered both Deftones and System of a Down. This is rough.
Chop Suey, Change.
So I watched. I watched a few.
Okay, give us some examples,
I
Figure.
watched a few videos on like the vocalists, like people reacting to Serge and Chino Moreno. Don't get me wrong, Chino Moreno has an insane range, especially at his age now, still screaming. What's it? 7 words.
And his
That's
voice
insane.
hasn't
Yeah,
changed out like
No.
the guy
Deteriorated
from
at
He
all.
sounds kind of rough.
Yeah.
but
Still great, but can tell is starting
Wait.
to get shut a little bit.
The
Are you
Axl Rose treatment.
yeah. But Serge, I think he's retired now. I haven't seen him at any shows.
Well,
Actually, no,
they're
they're on
coming.
tour.
Well, System and Deftones
Yeah.
are going to be headlining a show in Toronto.
Toronto, that's right.
Uh-oh.
So if you wanna live my hot take, go there.
or Serge and Gino, if you want us to, be there live and to ascertain this. I mean,
Exactly.
we would not mind.
But
Send
As-
some
Absolutely
tickets.
not.
as a vocalist, if you listen to the I guess techniques that Serge uses to emphasize his emotions versus Chino using his techniques to emphasize the emotion that he wants to, I believe Serge has a more technical and I guess like wider range of technical like things that he uses to express his emotions in the different songs that he sings.
okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, so like in Chop Suey, he's got the
Yeah.
he's got the whispering, and then why don't think you trust, which is very lyrical,
Yeah.
very, and
It's
then
very commanding. It's like very
aerial, yeah.
Yeah.
in the.
But at the same token, Chino, like,
They've
when he
got
said range,
they've
Chino-
got a bunch of both of them have a bunch of range.
Yeah.
a bunch of range.
Okay, I'm putting these two at like the MJ and Michael Jordan tier. Like they're so far above everybody else. It's these two versus
Like LeBron and
anybody
MJ,
else.
you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like this is the kind of discussion I'm having where these two have such insane range that comparing them, personally, I put Serge above Chino Moreno in the range of technical things that he uses
So
to
would
express the emotions or things
So would
that he's trying to
Chester
get
be
across.
Kobe Bryant in this analogy?
I was gonna say Corey Taylor, Maynard
Yeah,
from Tool.
yeah.
I mean, awesome vocalist.
Yeah.
I get what you're
I
saying.
see what you're saying.
So Chino Moreau's often regarded as one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As is Serge. I get, but I'm trying to think of a song, a System of a Down song without the others. I forget his name. Forgive me, but I'm trying to think of a song without
let me
him.
find it.
Oh, without the
Yeah.
Yeah, the
well, like in Chop Suey, he was mainly harmonizing. It was mainly Serge.
But
Yeah, so
what's the song?
I consider him as like a backup vocalist because he's usually complimenting what Serge is
Yeah.
saying, and he's usually using only like one kind of voice, unless it's like a different song. But
I-
he's usually backing up Serge.
Yeah, he usually is. I would say, I think Toxicity is obviously probably the most successful album, but I would say in terms of musicality and like you said, his range as a vocalist, I think Mesmerize was probably a better example
Yeah.
of that.
Mhm.
I mean, Mesmerize, Hypnotize. I mean, those two songs are right there just showed.
BYOB, the switch ups,
Yeah, BYOB
Yeah.
was pretty
like
there
the
too, yeah.
range of BYOB was so. Like that's the song that kind of got me thinking: would I prefer Serge or Chino as a vocalist?
And it's hard too, because like,
Because
I'll end this right now.
What?
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury is the perfect voice.
I bet you if
nobody's
Freddie Mercury,
beating him.
I bet you if Freddie Mercury screamed, he'd probably scream better than Chino. And
I'm sure.
He would bring people back to life.
he probably would. Yeah.
We need to
No,
have
but-
an AI deepfake of these songs from by Freddie Mercury.
So the body of work, though. So Chino has kind of a larger,
Yeah.
Body.
Obviously,
Breadth of work.
Yes.
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to be.
Okay. Well, state your purposes, figure. Like state your case here.
No, you know what? Figure, honestly, if you want me to be honest, I was taken back by your hot take. But
Yeah.
the more I think about it, the
It's-
more I'm siding with you.
It's a head scratcher, isn't it?
Not even head scratcher. The more I'm actually starting to side with it. Deftones is, top 3
Yeah.
bands of mine.
Like,
So I'm
Deftones-
biased.
yeah.
I am very biased. But I'm not musically inclined. I do not know any music theory. I have friends that are orchestra teachers that have studied music. Maybe we can bring them on one day and
Yeah.
have this argument. But just to me,
Yeah.
that presence and the System of a Down songs were almost opera-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think so. Serge has a very powerful voice,
Mhm.
and when
He
he
does.
sings, you feel it.
Yeah.
But I feel like Chino has more range though, because he can do stuff that I think Serge can't, as far as like the shoegazy kind of
Yeah.
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 mellow
So
stuff.
I think Surge is more like melodic, and then
Yeah.
he can start like growling
Yeah.
at you.
Yeah.
He can still scream and he can still, but in
So like I'm trying to go like
yeah.
point by point. Screaming,
Yeah.
I think they're about the
They're
same.
about the
Yeah.
same.
And I think the growling type of real still aggressive stuff, they're still about the same. But then I kind of have a trouble like at the I'm just sitting in
That's-
my car and waiting for my doom.
Yeah, yeah.
And then so like that's about as mellow as Serge gets. Right?
Well,
Like,
he's
he's got some other stuff. Like he's got some more
yeah,
opera type
yeah.
stuff, right? But with System of a Down, I don't know if I can think of a song that equates to like a sex tape or Cherry Waves or something like that, where it's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Because I see what you're saying. Because Chino has the softer side in like
Yes.
in like
yes.
Teenager or Passenger,
yeah,
where it's not all hard all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have some words from Madman here. He'd like to say something.
okay,
So what I will say is I think that from System of a Down, I think he relies a lot more on his belting. So even like songs like Spiders, I guess it's more of a like a slower song,
That's
but
true.
he gets into his belting no matter what in most of his songs.
That's true.
And I think like a lot of his vocalism like revolves around this, but I think Chino, he can go into multiple things. Like throughout all of Around the Fur, he got into his screamies type stuff.
Yeah,
he
he
got
did.
into some more like psychedelic stuff throughout Saturday Night Wrist and
Yeah.
Diamond Eyes. And he got like he was in that new metal type stuff throughout
Pony.
Adrenaline, right? So
Oh, generally, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
he covered I think Chino Moreno covers a lot more ground.
But
Then
there's a
he
lot
does-
more work.
the
Deftones
body of work.
Body of work. Deftones.
Of course, but what I'm saying is that like I think Chino doesn't rely on a certain mechanic. Like he gets into his like his falsetto a lot, where he's just really airy.
That's
In
true.
his voice, he can go really quiet. Like Teenager, he was in a lot of falsetto,
That's true.
and he wasn't as screamy and as demanding. But he can be his demanding, screaming,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
belting
Like
voice
Hexagram.
is just as demanding as his. But I don't
Yeah.
think he relies on that in his music. And I think maybe this is also the musicians that Deftones has that kind of lift him up in some of their music.
yeah.
But I think that as far as just singing, I feel like Chino doesn't have one thing that he kind of relies on. But I always find that in System of a Down songs that he keeps going back to this belting that he has, no matter what song it is.
Yeah, it's because Serge doesn't have like an upper register. He doesn't have a
falsetto.
hot falsetto. He doesn't have a note, so he relies on.
He's like the Canes of singers. Like he's got 5 good things, right?
Wow.
which
Just
are,
No.
but he does them very
He does
well.
no, he's incredible, and I'm having trouble because Deftones is my favorite band.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sleep tonight. Thanks,
I
Figure.
have, I have to
I'm having
say,
trouble.
I'm a little biased because personally I put System of a Down over Deftones, but that's only because I listened to System of a Down growing up. I didn't listen to Deftones as much growing
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I'll give you that figure. He's much younger than us. But I get because Adrenaline and White Pony came out when
I was
Mayhem and I
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were in high
we
school.
were in high school, college.
Yeah.
And then System got popular probably little after that, early 2000s.
Right around the time White Pony came out. I think
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
after
when it
that.
came out.
Yeah. Well, no,
Toxicity
not
came out.
Toxicity, though. The one before that.
Yeah. Mesmerized.
Has hypnotized.
Or the one
Hypnotized.
behind. Oh, Hypnotized. That's right.
Oh,
That was middle school.
that was middle school for you.
Was that with Sugar?
Yeah,
I covered that
was
song.
the early high school for me. White Pony was middle school for me.
Yeah, White Pony was high school for
Yeah.
me.
So
Is it-
this
'cause-
is why I had to isolate as a vocalist because Chino Moreno, they write songs around his range, right?
That's true, yeah.
So, and I'm not sure how much Chino writes. As a lyricist, if I understood how much he wrote, I'm pretty sure I would put him over Surge in like writing music based on the way he sounds.
Yeah,
But
I can see that.
For Surge,
agree.
I also
I
don't
agree.
know what they write, but I believe with what he's given, he does more with the energy and emotion that he's trying to portray.
Yeah.
He does add a lot of intensity, and I just remembered the song Sugar, and he does have a lot of range in that as well.
Yeah.
His voice is a lot more weirder than Chino Moreno's. I have to give him that. That
Yeah.
song Sugar, and compare it to like Hexagram. Chino can't do weird like
That's
Surge
okay.
can.
Well, yeah, but that goes to the range because you have a crazy fun song where he's like, "Ooh, that's in my pocket," right? And then he goes, "Rah, rah, rah." But then you have a very lyrical song like Chop
Yeah.
Suey
Yeah.
and Spiders and even Aerials,
Yeah.
and that shows just his breath. He can be silly and funny and do all these things in Sugar, but then like
That's what I'm doing, man. Like I'm going back
It's
and
hard.
forth.
and but like to your point, Chino doesn't have that.
That's so maybe.
That's tough.
Do you see? I'm
unsettled.
I won't kick you out.
This
I
is what
just-
I'm saying. The
Gwen
song
Stefani.
BYOB.
Here we go with ska again.
Oh.
BYOB and Prison Song had me thinking about
Yeah,
it
those are
because
good
of the
ones.
way, like,
Prison Song, man.
what's it? The other,
Those are great
the
ones.
I blank on his name, but the other person that sings with Surge
Oh.
also helps in most of the songs.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
think it's
I'm gonna have to
either
get
as
this
like
guy's
a
name.
background voice or just to compliment Surge in what he's saying.
Yeah,
So
hear
I
ya.
believe that Surge has a more vocal range than Chino does.
You know, this is gonna
Yeah.
bug me,
This isn't about me. I think okay. His name is Darren.
Darren, yeah.
Darren.
Okay. So yes. So like Serge and Darren singing. So like, why don't you ask the kids at Tiananmen Square? And then dun, 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 dun. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
they get that.
Yeah.
Complimentary.
Yeah, they're
complimentary.
complimentary. But what I'm saying is Chino could do both of that.
He can because Chino
He could.
has
See,
the lyrical
he does
range.
have the
He has the
lyrical
falsetto
range.
He has the
And
low
he-
register and he has the upper.
but he
register.
can also change the tone of his singing as well.
Yeah,
It's
he
not
can.
just the range. So like I get that part, but then you go to songs like Sugar where
Yeah.
it's just so weird, like in such a good way.
Such a fun song to play.
It's
on
such
bass,
a-
by the way.
It's just a fun song to listen to.
I
Yeah.
think okay, so another way to explain this would be like they kind of sing the same things, but Chino Moreno is in like Times New Roman and Surge is in Comic Sans.
I thought you were gonna say wingdings.
Wingdings.
No, that's Cold Chamber.
Okay, yeah.
So if you think about it, Chino's like more serious, right? If don't like forgive me if I'm wrong, but Surge can get serious, but he can also just be like super silly like Sugar.
So System of a Down's a lot more sarcastic than people.
Yeah.
like to
They're
admit.
satirical.
They're
Yeah, they are.
satirical,
They're satirical.
very
They are.
sarcastic and cynical. So the music has that tone.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I think they're just so different
There,
and so similar at the same time. Like,
I'm gonna pin this to it's an apples and oranges
yeah,
comparison.
I think this is a matter of taste, kind of.
It is.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love both bands. I'm gonna rock out some Toxicity and the vinyl tonight.
So-
just to
So now I'm gonna have to listen to all Paramore albums. All
we got Weezer, we got Paramore,
All
we got
System of
Deftones,
All
a Down.
System of a Down.
throw in
Yeah.
And
Linkin
throw in all
Park.
Maroon 5 because
because I hate Maroon 5.
you know what? Instead of going to Stefano, I should have said Adam Levine.
I don't mean.
Oh,
Ooh.
God.
Ooh. Don't say his name 3 times.
All right, so Madman said, in order to, I guess, elevate the argument, we should play Main by Deftones because Serge and Chino both sing on this song.
Oh, there's a collab. That's right.
I have something to say.
Are we gonna do it impromptu?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I don't have any.
musical?
I don't have any like.
Okay, bear
Slack
with us,
record.
folks. I know you've been on with us for a long time, but I think this is very important.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
long
I
episode.
do have to say I don't know who this song was written for, or if it was written for both, or if it was written for one and somebody was like, "Oh, we should feature this guy." So
Okay, let's do it.
I have never, and I also haven't.
Or
listened
maybe
to
they're
this
just
song.
buddies and they're like, hey,
Yeah.
let's do a song together.
All right, let's listen to it real quick.
Okay, let's do it. Can you Stephen Carpenter?
We'll go through the whole thing.
Still a great song.
We'll leave the copyright.
You
You
can't
can
do
get lyrical.
See, Serge can't do that though. I don't think. Yeah.
Deftones is so good.
It's such a great song.
Oh no, this is an awesome song.
Yeah.
That's something that Chino goes to too. Is the
Yeah.
like raising his voice, kind of like that.
All right, pause the song. So you have the classic Chino, right?
Yeah.
Kind of croony, lot of range, dynamic.
Dynamic. There's
Like,
a word. There's
very
the word.
dynamic, and you know it's Chino singing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's something too. These two guys have very, very distinct voices.
Yes.
Yes,
If you
they
hear
do.
them on any other band, you'd be like, "Oh, that's Serge," or "Oh, that's Chino."
Yeah.
All right, let's bring in Serge.
I love that like little whiny.
This is quintessential Chino right here.
Oh yeah. I forget when Serge comes in.
I thought that was cool.
His voice is so much more haunting though.
Yeah.
It's totally like an opera.
He's like, it's like a singer. I don't know how to sing it though.
So it doesn't have the same presence on the song, but
But he's matching Chino's
Yeah.
longer, drawn out note.
Yeah.
yeah,
And he doesn't do that in System.
Yeah. So it's like, I think I guess I hear Serge more as like a European singer, where it's like whoa, 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 right, and then Chino has more of a Western feel, I guess, where the singing is kind of also talking at
Whoa.
you.
Okay, play Sugar by System of a Down.
I think Serge is about to come on again. Hold on.
Oh,
Classic Phoenix.
it's like Surge can't out Chino on his song, and I'm pretty sure Chino can't out Surge on his song. They're very different. I get what he's saying, but
Chino with the upper register.
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying too. It's on Chino's band, so I don't want to make a definitive argument based off of this song. This was an example given by Madman to show them working together on a song.
Yeah. Which
So play Sugar by System of a Down.
I'm gonna play my air bass.
The usual growl.
Only Surge can sing about kombucha mushroom people. They're just such different bands too.
Yeah.
It's a fun song.
It is such a fun song. I remember watching this video the first time.
What the fuck is this? It's a scream.
All right, now play Hexagram by Deftones. And I'm playing these two songs because it demonstrates their range.
But there's like it's a little silly. Okay.
One of my personal favorites also.
And they're two such different bands. Too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
they are.
Because Darren and Stephen Carpenter have completely different guitar styles.
Yeah.
Even the bass.
I think everything in the band is like completely different.
You get the scream right off the bat.
Yeah. So you see
from the get-go.
You see Surge's range kind of develop. Chino's range is in the same lines of lyrics, right?
It's also how their vocals fit in. I think, Figure, you made this point, how their vocals fit into the overall composition of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
It's even right here.
Yeah. So this isn't even him screaming. Like,
Yeah.
this is like the hip hop kind of influence that you get sometimes, right?
It's hard.
And then he goes back into screaming. All right, you can stop
All
it.
right. This is hard. Damn it, Figured. You're going to have me thinking.
Yeah. All right.
I don't...
All right, I've got another word for Madman here.
Right. Apples to oranges.
I think it's a matter of preference. I think.
And honestly, it's a matter of preference from day to
And
day.
honestly, I can't.
Exactly.
And honestly, I can't really pick right now. Like,
I don't want to.
yeah, I'm a Deftone stan,
I will
and
say,
I can't pick right now.
I will
Madman.
say this is Madman the admin again, but I think like on Swerve City especially, like you don't see Chino go to like his coarse voice as often. Like I think that's something he does. He can be very coarse with his voice, but he can be a lot more. He can be very smooth too. Not as smooth as Surge can, but I think his voice can be very polarizing. Like he can be on one side and then jump to the complete opposite.
Like Chino's range is like here because he can go the softer, whispery kind of stuff, like in Teenager, and then all the way over here, and then Surge is like this,
But
this exactly. I think that's what it is.
they're so different. I think this is what I'm having a problem with.
Yeah.
They're so different. They sing different music.
Yeah.
So it's not apples to oranges to me. I don't know.
Is it
Man.
like Gala apples compared to Honeycrisp apples?
Maybe.
I'd like
I
to
was just gonna
disclose
go
I'm
green
not.
to red.
It's green apples to red apples.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Okay.
disclose I'm not like discrediting Chino or discrediting Surge
Yeah.
or
No.
vice versa or anything. They are both insane artists, and I could never do what they do. To
Oh,
be
oh, no.
completely honest,
They're-
I don't think anybody could match up to them.
They're generational
Talents.
Yeah.
talents. There's never going to be another
Yeah.
Serge, another Chino, another Corey, another Maynard. Never.
Adam Levine.
Who?
Oh man.
Anyway.
All right. Well, those of you who stuck with us, thank you so much. I think on that note, I'm weirded out now. Like I don't know. I'm gonna be listening to System now.
I got me
And-
sweaty.
Please let us know what
Yeah.
you think.
I have
Yes.
about 19 records to listen to
Yes,
this
exactly.
week.
All right, you want to move on to chaotic?
Okay,
Your
I
hot
think
take?
Okay, here we
I'm not gonna give an option. I'm just gonna throw it out there because I think this is definitely the elephant in the room in the rock community
go.
that has happened in the past year. Controversial. Everyone's got an opinion, and I think we would be remiss as rock fans to not talk about it. Linkin Park. We gotta talk about it, guys. We gotta talk about it. I tell you why. Actually, before coming here, I went to our favorite falafel place. Great falafels, by the way. And there was a young lady who had a Metallica shirt on, and I said, "Hey, I got my Metallica shirt on also." It was under this thing, and we started talking about it. She's like, "What do you think about Linkin Park?" You know, and the new singer Emily Armstrong, and we went into it for a little bit, and it got me thinking. We haven't talked about Linkin Park.
That's true. That's very true.
I think we need to address the elephant in the room. That is Linkin Park and Emily Armstrong.
All right, so I'm going to hold you to a stance on this. Do you think Emily Armstrong fits Linkin Park better than Chester Bennington?
Okay.
As your hot take, you
Damn, I
have
haven't
to
do my own hot take.
You have to take a stance.
Okay.
Because saying we can discuss Linkin Park all day.
I mean,
but for you to
we can
This can be.
episode.
I don't know if it's. We can. This can just be an open discussion. Honestly,
I think
on
we
this
could
hot
discuss
take.
it.
yes.
Okay, I think it's a big topic because
it is.
we have let's just address it. Chester Bennington is and will always be probably one of the most influential and quintessential voices in rock,
Mhm.
in music
Absolutely.
in general.
Absolutely.
You cannot replace a Chester Bennington, and particularly is the influence Linkin Park had on, like, you know, people trying to peg them as new metal. They weren't. Really,
Nah.
they did what I think Limp Bizkit tried to do,
Yeah.
and you know was actually good at it. You know? But what they did for that rock, especially in that, you have to understand the early 2000s was a hard time in rock.
Yeah.
Metallica was on hiatus for about 3 years. There was a lot of talk about whether or not they were going to stay together. Korn and Limp Bizkit was basically trying to like
Yep. Dominate
and keep it going, and then enter Linkin Park. And I remember hearing the first album, and it was just like, what the fuck is this? Who is this guy?
I think I remember we were, I forgot where, and it just came on. And we were
Yeah.
like, what the hell is this? And it's like kind of like today's hardcore in its infancy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just a lot of dynamic things going on. Just great. I mean, it was like almost like the first time hearing Eminem. Like, they just stood out so much from everything
Yeah.
else. You're like, what is this?
And I admit, I wasn't taken by Linkin Park to begin with. Like at first, I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand Chester. I didn't understand what was going on, and I take that for granted. I'll own that. But over time, Chester just sealed himself into like rock history as such a important, not just his voice, but just important influence on rock and pop culture. Just the things that he talked about, the raw emotions, his, you know, suicidal thoughts, his commentary on addiction and not being able to get over it. I mean, Crawling to me is such a heartbreaking song, but it's such an accessible song for people who are going through the same thing, you know? So just saying that, it is impossible to replace Chester Bennington.
It is.
And it is an impossible task for Mike and the guys in Linkin Park to even start.
Yeah.
Well, first, after that tragedy, and rest in peace, Chester. After that tragedy, having to come back together into a room and say, "Are we doing this, guys?
Exactly.
Are we even doing this?"
And two, how?
Yeah,
And
Well-
you have to give them credit because they didn't try to replace Chester.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of bands would have tried.
yeah.
And I mean, some bands thankfully didn't. Like, I bring up Alice in Chains a lot. They didn't try to replace Lane Staley, right? Because
No.
you can't.
You can't.
Nirvana.
Nirvana,
I
the
mean,
same thing. They
Dave,
could've-
Dave Grohl had, like, obviously he had his success afterwards, but
Yeah.
he
There's
didn't,
no way you
he
could
didn't try to replace
Yeah.
Kurt Cobain.
Yeah,
Exactly.
There, you can't. There's just. I mean, it would be impossible to do that. So I think one, they realized that, like, there's no way we're gonna be that band again.
Nope.
But at the same time, Mike Shiroda's like, but we could still be a band
Exactly.
and appeal to an audience. And I think that's where Emily Armstrong came in.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know if this is true, and I haven't actually read that much about it. Maybe this is him saying, we're not that Linkin Park anymore.
Yeah.
Right? He made a
Okay.
statement by bringing her on by saying, the Chester Bennington Linkin Park is
Gone.
in our memory, is gone.
It's
We're gonna-
enshrined.
Yeah, is enshrined. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
When they get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's going to be because of Chester Bennington and what they did there.
yeah,
Now, they're building something else off of the same success, but it's different.
yeah.
And it's very good. I'm a huge Emily Armstrong fan. I think she's incredible. And I think she's done an incredible job with this band.
Yeah.
But it's not the same band.
Yeah.
They have the same name. They have a similar sound, but it's
Yeah.
not the same band. I don't think we can say that.
And in my discussion over there at our falafel place, of course, where people discuss rock,
Yes.
as one does at a falafel place.
Yes.
That was the point that this young lady was saying. Is like, it's not the same. And I rebutted with, to your point, it's not going to be the same. And I think what Mike and the guys did was they acknowledged that, and they said, okay, A, we're deciding we're going to keep going. We
Yep.
decided we're going to stay Linkin Park and we're going to keep going. B, how do we make sure we can sustain it from a band perspective? How do we make sure that Linkin Park is still Linkin Park 5 years from now,
Yeah.
10 years from now? The point I brought up was, okay, look at other bands that, kind of switch things around, like Audio Slave,
Yeah.
right? So you had Tom Morello and Chris Cornell come in and make Audio Slave. And they had some good hits.
Yeah.
They
They
had
had two great albums.
two great albums.
Mhm.
But then after that, what happened? Not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Look at Velvet Revolver, right?
Oh, yeah.
Scott Weiland, Slash come together, and again, they had one good album, and nothing after that.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know what Linkin Park was thinking, during this transition, but I think part of the decision to go with Emily Armstrong was number one, she's an amazing singer. She can
Oh, yeah.
kill any
Mhm.
song.
Check
Oh,
out
yeah.
Dead Sarah. All of their music.
Oh, yeah.
is
Check out
pretty
Dead
good.
Star. Yeah, that there's no doubt she can sing a song. She
Oh,
is
yeah.
amazing. But I think the other part is with an Emily Armstrong, can they make new music? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The,
The
the, new,
Emptiness Machine.
the new album is really
Yeah.
good.
And I'm already going to say this. Their next album is going to be
Yeah.
really good.
Well,
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is that it's not going to be the same album, that we want to see some growth. And that's,
Yeah.
I think this is kind of what I have an issue with the purists is like, we go back, Blue
Yeah.
Album,
Yeah.
right? Like, do you want your band to sound the same all the time? We were just talking about this. The Postage Malone. Do we want,
Postage Malone.
No Stitch Malone.
do we want White Iverson for what, 15 years that
Yeah.
he's been in this shit?
yeah.
He's doing country music right
He's doing
now,
country-
right?
Yeah.
Post Malone's one of my favorite artists. It's
Yeah.
just even one of his newest albums, Feeling Whitney, just
Mhm.
stripped down
Mm-hmm.
acoustic, him and his feels is
Yeah.
to where he came from.
Yeah.
God, it's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, he's this fucked up kid from a broken family,
Yep.
broke into the industry, was accepted by the hip hop community, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then he cleaned himself up. He
Yeah.
became a parent, right? I don't know if he's married or not. He has a family. Like we've seen him grow up still same tattoos and weird teeth and weird sense of humor.
He started a Raising Cane's franchise.
He did, and he's grown up.
But you've seen his music grow with him.
Exactly.
And
And I think when you have purists that want that white Iverson, and that's it.
In
I
this
think,
case, Meteora.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that's where we start seeing some of the problems between the purists and people are happy to see bands grow. And the bands that do grow have to do it in a way that doesn't alienate the purists,
Exactly.
yes.
but can also draw in. So, like Deftones are a perfect example. There's kids mini Mayhem's age that love the Deftones,
Yeah.
and they're not the same band
They're
as they
not,
were.
no.
Like, do we really need 20 years of White Ponies?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to do
one
that.
of the best
Even-
albums
well-
of all time.
Well,
by the way.
even between
Their
White
best album.
Pony and Around the
Yes.
Fur was so different.
Oh yeah,
Same thing with Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Their albums grew.
They grew like to your point. I remember listening to that first album. I think I was like 11 or 12.
Thanks for that.
But no, it was mind blowing to change like 6-7 years later. I was in high school about to graduate, and they had just come out with another album. What's the name of that song? I forgot, but it just you had seen the growth,
Yeah.
but I don't know, you see the growth, you see the progress, the change in their music,
Yeah.
but just to still feel raw, the feeling
Yeah.
of
Yep.
like Chester's emotion,
His
pain,
pain.
Yeah.
His pain, man.
the message still delivered through.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's, talking about Purist, and I like me and Paramore, I didn't feel it as much. It is a hot take. A lot of people don't agree with me.
Yeah.
It's just, as the years wore on, as albums came out, I just didn't feel it
Well,
as much.
Exactly. Well, and it's the difference between the singers too, because like when you hear Chester scream, "I put my trust," and that's one thing. It's just like, oh. And when you hear Emily singing it, it's something different.
Yeah. Well, we talk about covers all the time, right? Like,
Yes.
if you're gonna cover a song, you need
You
to
better
like,
cover
you
it
better cover it well,
And
and it can't be the same song.
No, you can't.
either.
You
It
gotta
has
make it
to
your
be their own, and the way Emily sings it is not like the way Chester
No.
sings it. I think she's bringing her own experience into that.
and not trying to replace it. And I think that's what a lot of people are getting the bad rub on. Is
Yeah.
that, she's first off, the tragedy of Chester Bennington
Exactly.
is,
Oh, yeah.
is it. You can't. It's not like he got kicked out.
Yeah,
It's not like a Van Halen situation. This is
No.
not that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an impossible task for a band that just lost not just a bandmate but their friend, a brother.
Yeah.
It was an impossible task to begin with. And what I would say, and I guess my stance on this hot take is, I do believe that Linkin Park choosing Emily Armstrong as their new lead singer was the correct thing to do, not to appease us, the listeners or whatever, but for the overall sustainability of the band that's to come.
They wanted to let people know that Chester Bennington wasn't Linkin Park, and that Linkin Park is a band without Chester Bennington.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And as sad as it is to say it, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
It's not wrong.
no.
It's not.
Dang, we got heavy,
Yep.
man.
And then, so what I will say is Mike Shirota and Emily Armstrong have demonstrated a lot of courage.
yeah.
Mike
Yeah.
Shirota had a decision to make. Him and the band were like, okay, are we going to continue?
Mm-hmm.
And if we do continue, we mess this up, we're going to alienate all the people that
Yeah.
have supported us this whole time.
Yeah.
And I think they made a very calculated decision in picking Emily Armstrong. Now, Emily Armstrong is coming to this band already an iconic band,
Yeah.
already going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, they're that good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to replace their lead singer.
They're magnificent lead singer.
Yeah.
Not just the lead singer, but like an icon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably
Yes.
the
I'm
face
going to
of
come in
Linkin Park.
and replace this person.
Yeah.
How much courage does that take?
Mhm.
And I mean, when you see them perform, you really don't miss anything. I'm not going to say she has the same presence as Chester Bennington, because he was very intense.
Very intense.
When he was performing. She is not as intense, but she's still...
Well, in her own way.
She commands the attention, but she's not like in your face screaming at you intense. Like she has her own style. But it took a lot of courage to do that, because she knew that if she messed this up, that she could alienate Mike Shirota and the rest of the band's following.
Yeah.
And I think it was a very calculated risk.
Yeah.
But I think it's paid out perfectly. I think
well,
overall it's a great...
The band won't have
decision.
success.
Yes, they won't.
They still have, it's very like a solid formula in a solid, like, bond.
Exactly.
They will have success. It's just, like you said, it's just a very touchy subject.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a very, like, love to a lot of loyal fans.
Yeah.
It's like children.
I know.
Going through a divorce, and he's like, here's your new stepmom. And they're like, accept them. And for a lot of these people, they just love Chester so much.
Well, and for a lot of people, this is the first time they ever hear Emily Armstrong. That's one side of the coin.
True.
Right? Kind of to your point, this is the first time they ever saw this person, so it's like...
That's true. That is very true. If you're not familiar with her, and you're like, who?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of get it. So I can get why, the purists or just very hardcore Linkin Park fans are upset. I get it. But I don't think you can look at it as the same band like you said.
No,
it's a different band, and they need to be judged on a different scale.
Exactly.
There's no way that they're going to compete with the Chester Bennington Linkin Park.
And I think, we've seen bands, for 40 years deal with death and grief and heartache, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Skinner and Pantera with Dimebag Darrell.
Well, there's bands that hardly have any original members, like Black Flag.
Exactly.
Have hardly any original members left.
Exactly. And it's hard to keep going when you lose a bandmate and a friend and a brother and a sister, especially to addiction and to depression and to suicide. That's hard in itself. And anyone who's gone through that can understand just how traumatic that is. So imagine that coupled with the pressure from your fans, from your record company, from, we need to make money because we need to put food on the table. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's an impossible situation to deal with. And kudos to them, because you look at other bands who have gone through similar tragedies, like Pantera. I love Pantera. Pantera's one of my favorite bands, but they have not, ever since Dimebag Darrell died, they haven't gotten back to that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And for a reason, Dimebag Darrell's is iconic.
Mm-hmm.
You can't replace Dimebag Darrell.
Oh no.
We're talking about this, and I'm looking at Freddie Mercury.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go.
Even Queen.
That's
Queen
true.
replaced Freddie Mercury. I believe Adam Lambert.
Yeah, Adam Lambert.
Yeah.
Adam Lambert, which they, to their point, they've had success with him.
Oh yeah.
Is it the same Queen?
No, absolutely
It'll
not.
never be the same Queen.
I think they scientifically proved that Freddie Mercury had the perfect voice, like the perfect singing voice. How are you going to replace that?
No,
You can't.
You can't.
not just by voice, just persona,
by somebody like 20 years younger. And it worked well.
It worked well. They toured. They're still successful.
They're still successful, but it's not the same band.
And guess what? They still sold albums.
True.
The same people who were naysayers and didn't like it, they still bought it. And guess what? Linkin Park, you're still going to buy their albums. You're still going to go to the concerts.
Yeah, they're still going to fill up stadiums.
They're still going to fill up stadiums.
True.
And they should, because they deserve it. They're still a kick-ass band. They're still one of the most influential bands of our time. And more credit to them. We'll still be listening. We'll still be watching, and hopefully, if they come to a venue near us, maybe we can.
I'll be there.
I think so. Phoenix,
the new Linkin Park.
That's right.
I'm a huge fan of Emily Armstrong. I think she does a great job. I love the new album. I can't say much more about that.
Every once in a while you got to, So one thing looking forward to tomorrow is Super Bowl.
Ugh.
I know, I feel the same way. Both teams suck.
Super what?
Yeah. Just let you all know, our teams, our arch rivals are playing. If you can guess.
Just deduce that.
Just
sure.
deduce that to your own. I would say I'm going for the refs, but the refs are obviously going for the Chiefs.
I'm
Yeah,
Team
yes.
Dot.
So, whatever. But I think Kendrick,
Kendrick.
are we excited? Are we
I'm Team Dot, but my problem is this.
okay?
Kendrick is not from New Orleans.
Mm,
And there are plenty of good artists from New Orleans.
yep.
New Orleans
Plenty.
is a jazz hip hop town.
Yep.
I don't think Better Than Ezra has a catalog that could support a Super Bowl halftime.
Think of what, 2 songs?
They,
Two bangers? Yeah,
two
two
bang.
goods,
Okay,
yeah,
that's 8 minutes of a
yeah.
Super Bowl show.
20
but-
minutes,
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Hey, and then you bring guest artists and you fill up the other 24 minutes.
Better Than Ezra, Candlebox.
So, so I'm not saying Kendrick Lamar is not deserving of a Super Bowl performance, but isn't it supposed to be like local stuff? I mean, Atlanta they had stuff. I mean, they had the Migos there, right?
Yeah.
LA they had Dr. Dre and that whole outfit there,
Mhm.
and then we go to New Orleans, and we get a guy from LA.
Yeah. I got to say, the first infraction of that was, 10 years ago, Super Bowl 50 in San Francisco. Well, Santa Clara, if you want to be technical about it. But you have the Bay Area in California is so influential, especially in
Yep.
rock. You got Metallica, you got Megadeth, you
got Green Day.
You got Green Day over there in Oakland, Offspring, Rancid, right? I mean, that Bay Area had so many awesome influential bands that came out of there, and they go get a British band in Coldplay. Okay,
That's
first off,
right. I couldn't remember.
did you? Okay,
Coldplay.
first off, no one remembers Coldplay because you had special guest Beyonce and Bruno Mars,
Yeah,
which
Oh.
really Coldplay just like opened and then like took a freaking water break.
I
while
mean,
everybody else.
While everyone else rocked,
Yeah.
did their thing, and then they came back for like the last segment,
that seems like a Coldplay thing to do.
right?
Yeah, I think it's kind of hit or miss. Like the Justin Timberlake one, I don't think people realize that Justin Timberlake performed one by himself.
I
in Minneapolis.
intentionally forgot that Super Bowl because the
Oh, yeah.
Eagles won.
Ooh, yeah. It was somewhere.
Anyway,
We're not talking about the booby one, right?
No,
that's
that
the,
was-
that's the other one.
That's the memorable one.
That's the-
Yes.
So that's the memorable one.
That's the Super Bowl when we got 3 consecutive years of old guys
Yes.
performing. Which one of them was Prince, which is
Okay,
the best Super Bowl performance
Prince by far.
by far.
Okay,
By far.
if you're
Dude
not
played
going to
Foo Fighters.
if you're not going to get someone from that hometown, you need to get someone that's Kendrick Lamar level, Prince level,
Prince level.
Beyonce level,
Mhm.
Lady Gaga. I mean, there's just so many great artists that you can choose from.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of great artists in New Orleans that they could have brought. I mean, the whole Cash Money team, No Limit team, just between
Lil
those
Wayne.
two. Well, Lil Wayne's Cash Money, and
Oh,
Mhm.
there's just so much history
Yeah.
in hip hop there. I don't get it, but
Okay.
okay.
All I'm saying is, next year Super Bowl will be back in San Francisco or Santa Clara,
Ooh.
whatever the hell it is. I'm just saying, NFL, do the right thing. Get Metallica. I don't care about what other people are saying in the the hip hop world. I know you want freaking Taylor Swift out there, but do the world a favor.
Yes.
Metallica.
Special guest idols.
Special guest idols. You can bring in any special guest you want. I mean, Lady Gaga recorded with Metallica.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there's so much history there because I'm going to say it. I'm just because I'm a very biased Metallica fan, but you cannot attend a sporting event in the country without hearing a Metallica song. I'm not just talking about football. You have Mariano Rivera with the Yankees that came out in Enter Sandman.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have the Enter Sandman thing at Virginia Tech.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
You cannot go to a sporting event without listening to Metallica song. And I just don't understand why they haven't made that
Yeah.
happen.
Well, even rock music. I mean, you have the White Stripes
Yeah.
playing
Dun.
Seven Nation Army
Oh, that's right.
all the time.
Right before kickoff.
Right? Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
And then how many times have you heard More Than a Feeling
More than a feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Or Living on a Prayer.
Right?
Yeah.
Or like, team needs some pepping up. You get Don't Stop Believing.
Yeah, Don't
Yeah.
Stop
Right.
Believing. That's like the 7th inning stretch thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So like, I think it's time. NFL, Roger Goodell, let's make it happen. Get Metallica. It's gonna rock. If you need 3 people to vouch for you and go for free, that'd be awesome.
Sideline
Just saying,
passes.
Sideline passes. We'll be in the mosh pit with you. Just saying.
Yeah. Just imagine a mosh
Oh my
pit.
God, imagine that.
50-yard line. The entire 100,000 people in attendance screaming, "Fuck the king," when Idols is up on stage. That would be incredible.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a stadium full of saying "Die, die, die" with creeping death?
Oh.
That would be
I'm
awesome.
pretty sure that's going to be on the ban list for the NFL.
Yeah. Or
Just having a mosh pit right there with the
Yeah.
band on the field. That would be
Right?
amazing.
you know what? I'm not opposed. Rancid. I'm not opposed to
Yeah.
even Operation Ivy, even
Ooh.
though ska is not my favorite, but
You're like my band
it's
this
a
week.
good band.
I mean, just if you get like a Metallica, a Green Day,
Oh,
you know,
I
like
love
a
Green
Bay
Day.
Area rock infusion
Yep.
would just be insane. It'll be at the same level as the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Mary
Oh,
J.
yeah.
Blige. It will be that kind of event,
Yeah.
and it would rock, and people will love it because they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, I know that song." Right? Remember
Yeah.
when Stranger Things came out and Master of Puppets?
Oh yeah.
It went back up to number 1. People like metal, man.
Yeah. Well,
Give the people their metal.
Stranger Things,
Yeah.
right?
That's the same for
They
Stranger
got the
Things.
solo. I mean, it was perfect, and everybody loved it. It was great.
It was amazing. So, NFL, Roger Goodell, make it happen. We need our Metallica.
I agree.
I don't.
Anyways, so this
Oh.
week we got into a little bit of an argument, didn't we?
Yes, we did. Off camera. We
Off camera, it got pretty heated.
We pissed each other off. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's all about music. All
Yeah.
about music.
It's also all very petty, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, when don't we
yeah,
get over music and pettiness?
So as you can imagine, me, Chaotic, as a metalhead, has certain viewpoints about perhaps the emo or the punk community, and likewise,
okay,
right?
yeah, that's true. That's
And
true.
Mayhem also has some interesting opinions, and Groupie
Mhm.
does too.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that we're wrong, but
Mhm.
I mean, we think it's a great avenue for us to share with you all.
All right.
Who wants to start? We're going to call this segment Hot Takes.
Should I
Ooh.
read the rules?
Let's do it. Read the rules.
Read the
All
rules.
right. So hot takes. We're playing sort of like a game. When someone gives a hot take, a person who feels very strongly against the hot take will try to refute them,
Okay.
and we'll have a battle, I guess. And the person who's sitting there listening can judge who won. And if you're listening online right now too, they can you can decide who won in the
Okay.
comments as well.
So if someone says their hot take, one person who has very strong feelings against will
Yeah.
raise their hand.
How about we just start with the band or the topic, and then we have somebody take
Oh, okay.
take
kinda
the
like Jeopardy.
opposing side. Kind of like
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy.
I'll
Take
take
the
that
opposing
challenge.
side.
I'll
I'll
take
take
that
that.
challenge.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
All right, let's do this.
Who wants to
Let's
go first?
Should we start with Mayhem?
start with Mayhem.
All
Let's
right.
do it. Uh-oh.
Do you guys want to do Weezer or Nirvana?
Ooh,
I know how you feel. I know how grumpy you feel about Weezer.
I love my Weezer.
Oh, let's
Let's
do
go with
Weezer
Weezer.
then.
Let's do Weezer.
Ooh, okay. I will be.
I'll take that battle.
Yeah, I will be judge.
My hot take is Weezer's not very good.
Oh,
And they've been riding the success of the Blue album this entire time. And without the Blue album, would have never made any mainstream success.
Oh,
And-
dang.
As my evidence, I enter into the courts. The Blue album sold 3.5 million copies. I actually have one in my room right
He's
now.
got receipts.
Pinkerton, 1.1 million. The Green Album, 1.2 million. Maladroit or whatever, 621,000. And Make Believe, 1.3 million. Those are the ones I actually counted. Combined, just above the Blue album.
Okay.
Which one came first?
The Blue album.
Blue's their debut album.
Blue album. Second is Pinkerton.
Green
I-
is
I-
third.
I feel the steam coming from Green Beaver right now.
If you think about it, none of that, like he said, none of that would have happened if the Blue album wasn't so good.
Okay, well, how many bands would have never been here if their debut album was not good?
Ooh, okay.
But if you think about most bands' debut album, what's the name of Nirvana's debut album? What's the name of Smashing Pumpkins' debut album?
I'm not that big fan of Smashing
Oh,
Pumpkins.
Bleach and Gish.
Ooh.
Mhm.
What about-
I will say, like, even Metallica, Kill 'Em All was not a resounding success
Nope.
until Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets came
Yeah.
about. So I will give you that.
Look at Green Day. Kerplunk was their first record, right? Well, they had a record behind that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Their sample or whatever. But
Yes,
then
that was
Kerplunk,
AP.
but then Dookie is really when they broke out.
Dookie's their first full length. They had Kerplunk was an EP.
Was it though?
Yeah.
Was it though?
Okay, name me a song from there.
We're getting in semantics here.
His whole
Welcome
point,
to Paradise. Welcome to Paradise.
No, that was Dookie.
That was Dookie, wasn't it? Oh, we need a fact check. Mr. Producer.
She, 2,000 light years away.
Ooh, we're getting.
If you're, but that's besides the point.
That's besides
We're
the
going, let's
point.
go back to Weezer.
Okay.
All right, bring it back.
Let's do this. Okay.
How did this become a Green Day?
I need to flip my cap for this one. Okay.
All right.
Okay, flip caps for this one.
All right. I mean, there's no denying it. The Blue album is one. I mean, I know for myself, it is one of the biggest albums in my life, but it is a cornerstone album in the rock industry.
It is.
There's no denying that.
Yeah.
There's no denying that.
Oh no, I admit
It
that.
just happens to be their debut album.
My Name is Jonas till Only in Dreams is just a perfect album.
In the Garage is
Mm-hmm.
my favorite song.
Yeah.
Okay.
My favorite Weezer song.
Without any of those songs, even the mainstream hits, Say It Ain't So,
Buddy Holly.
Buddy
Buddy Holly.
Holly, where would they be without those songs right now?
Hash Pipe.
But Hash Pipe isn't really that
Does-
good.
does
It's still a hit.
Decent.
Okay, you're
Decent.
telling me Hash Pipe, Pork and Beans, and Beverly Hills are on the same level.
Island in the Sun.
I would.
Island
I
in the
would.
Sun.
I think I would listen to Island in the Sun.
Island in the Sun is the only single that people could tolerate off of Pinkerton at first.
all right, I have a rebuttal.
Pinkerton is honestly an underrated album. I will give them that.
Yes.
I will give them that. But
There-
still, without the Blue album, you wouldn't. Pork and Beans is terrible. You have to admit,
There
Pork and
is
Beans
one thing though. Island in the Sun.
Beverly Hills.
is actually from the Green album, isn't it?
Yeah, Island
Yes.
in the Sun is their number one song. Double Buddy Holly and almost double Say It Ain't So.
And it's
I'm not
on the
saying
Green
fact
album.
check. Fact
I'm
check.
not saying it's a bad song, but what I'm saying is, without the Blue album, Weezer would never have the same commercial success that they've had today.
All right, let's answer this question. Does any Weezer album sell over 1 million without the Blue album?
I don't think so.
Does
I
the
mean-
Green album sell 1.1 million if the Blue album never came out?
Nobody would know who
Island in
Weezer
the
is.
Sun. Island in the
You
Sun
think-
is such a great hit.
It is a great song. Don't get me wrong, but does it stand out from the songs that came out around the same time?
I know I was a kid.
You just called us old.
I was a kid. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I will. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I get your point. I can't deny it. The Blue album is just the way to describe it. You know, it's just the tip of the tip. It is their greatest.
It's
a great-
quintessential.
yeah.
It's quintessential. It's their greatest album. It's Weezer's greatest album. It just happens to be their debut album. But you cannot write 30 years of success off of one album.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I could see it if they're playing small shows where nostalgia, where over here Dee Snider or Twisted Sister playing, or the Scorpions playing, not selling. This is a band to this day that it sells out,
They do.
that fills stadiums.
Okay, but do those people go to those shows to hear Africa or
I actually have
Pork and
that song.
Beans, or I can't really name any other songs.
Like they're
Hash
there to
There's-
hear Buddy Holly and Say It Ain't So.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one song. You know, I think I remember the music video more than the song. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, so I think
okay,
Judge,
okay.
let's hear your
I will
thoughts.
say, I like Weezer. I like a Weezer. Say It Ain't So is one of my top 5 all-time songs.
Mhm.
It got me.
Yes.
You know, it's just right there. It's
Mhm.
that song wherever it comes on the radio randomly, like you turn it up
Yes.
Yeah.
and you tell your kids, "Shut up. This is important.
yeah, Daddy's having a moment.
I need this."
Share this with you.
Yes. But I get it. It's because if Weezer did not have the Blue Album, Island in the Sun would be a hit, but that might have been the only hit. I understand. Again, I love Weezer. Weezer, I love you. I love you. Awesome, man. You guys are amazing. But I can understand having such early success is hard to really try to get back. Replicate.
Yeah.
That's why you have so many one-hit wonders, not just in rock, but in pop in general.
Yep.
You have so many one-hit wonders that had 1 or 2 maybe good hits, and it's hard to replicate that success early on.
Yep.
It's just hard in general. So I understand. As much as I hate to say it, I think Mayhem's got a point.
Hey,
I have
I
to
do have a
agree.
point.
Fuck you guys. Again, we're not saying that
No, no,
it's a bad band.
You know, I do get it.
They're
And
a
like,
great band.
and like I said, the Blue Album, it is a quintessential album.
no.
It is just,
If
you're right, it would be very, very hard to replicate
I-
the success of that album.
I will do a sub hot take. Only in Dreams is the best song on that album.
Oh,
that is
I mean, I
their
love the
best
song.
song in my opinion.
I just have a
7 minutes of awesomeness.
yes. I just have a really, really soft spot in my heart for In the Garage. So.
Yeah.
It's a
In the
good one.
Garage is a
It's good
great,
one.
Yeah.
great song.
Sweater Song's also good.
Sweater song is
Sweater
pretty
song
good.
is
Song.
amazing.
I remember as a kid, or when I was younger, the ending, the outro with the weird piano used
Oh,
to
yeah.
scare the
Yeah.
shit out of me.
Yeah.
I used to skip the next song. Next song.
We got a note
but
from the
I-
admin over here saying Surf Wax America is the best song.
Oh,
Surf Wax America.
Surf Wax America is a
That's
pretty
a good
our,
good song.
our Madman's getting into
Yeah, he is.
getting into the fold.
Yeah, he
All right,
is.
okay.
Let's-
30 years later, and we were talking about
Yeah.
Weezer.
No,
We're talking about
I will-
Weezer.
I will say this: the Blue Album is one of the best albums, in my opinion, made
Thank you.
ever
Thank you.
in rock, and
Like
one of
I'm in the
the
back.
best.
Thank you.
one of the best debut albums ever.
Ever.
Well, you're
Yes.
But they're just a victim of their own success, I think, and that's why I
Exactly.
think they're so polarizing.
well. We want to hear your comments.
Yes.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
tell
You know
us
you
what you
think.
guys think.
What
You
do
know
you
I'm
think?
right.
And if we pissed you off, please let us know too.
Yep.
Should we move on to Groupie?
Groupie.
Do you have
Groupie's
an
hot take.
equally
Groupie's
controversial
hot
hot
take.
take.
All right, let's see.
All right. Ah,
All right, what about
my hot take involves Paramore.
Ooh,
Oh,
Paramore.
this
I don't know.
Paramore is
your
close
band.
to Mayhem's
All right,
heart.
Mayhem.
I'll take it on. Let's do it.
I'll be judge again.
Okay.
All right.
I feel this is personal.
I
He
know.
was keeping this in the car. You know, he pissed off Weezer. Now he's going after Paramore.
Here we go.
Which I may say, I love Paramore.
Okay.
It was a good band. You know, it's still a good band that I grew up with. You know, epitome of my emo days. But Paramore just has not been good since their second album.
Ooh.
Their second album is Riot, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I think we run into a similar Blue Album kind of
Yes. Yes.
situation here.
Which
This is the
I
perfect
have
run.
Riot, and then All That Is Falling, I believe, is their debut album.
I
Hold on, let me
think
check.
I think you're right.
But anything after, I mean,
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to bring out
You
the.
need receipts here.
I need receipts here. Hold on a second.
now Call me a. What did we say earlier? Call me a purist.
Purist. Okay, he's making his case, ladies and gentlemen.
Their self-titled album is really good though too.
That would be their fourth, right?
Yes.
There's only two
Or
good
fifth,
songs.
yeah. Fifth.
There's only two good songs.
Was that Don't Cry to Your Mama?
No,
Which is that one?
no.
It's Ain't It Fun?
Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? And
Still Into You.
Still Into You. Those are the
Oh,
only two.
that's true.
I own that album too, as well. But there's only two good songs there.
Their interlude has 100 million
All right.
streams as well.
Are you forgetting All I Wanted from Brand New Eyes?
Yeah.
Good song. Dude.
And then they have Decode, the
Okay, so
from-
what was so
From the movie, right?
from
yeah.
what's the Shiny Vampire?
the
The Twilight
Twilight series,
the Twilight song.
Twilight
It's
Saga,
just
the shiny vampires coming this summer.
I
So
mean,
you're saying nothing after Ride has been good.
But okay.
I'm not saying it hasn't been good. I'm just kind of like to your point with Weezer. They're just
Haven't. A victim of their own
a
success.
victim of their own success. It just
I get
has
that.
not. They peaked at Riot.
I think. Okay.
Groupie, somebody said you got to go straight to jail for that take.
Wait, what?
Somebody said you've got to go straight to jail for that take.
Oh, I mean, I'll stand by my take.
Okay.
Again, I love Paramore. First time I saw Paramore, 2007, was a stage at Warped Tour. They had 50 people in the crowd. 50.
Wow.
This is when their first album was coming out.
Okay.
I fell in love with them instantly.
Mhm.
I stood long line, like 5 minutes in their booth to get pictures with them and their signatures. Haley Williams, I still have that picture somewhere in MySpace.
There you go. Does MySpace still exist?
No, I don't know.
Who knows?
But and I get it though.
I get it. Who's going to do that?
1 year later, 2008, I come back to Warped Tour. They are headlining.
Yep.
Yeah.
They are the band to go see. Just from 1 year to the next, to go from literally 50 people in front of this tiny stage, we're like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, to God, crowds, people pushing each other just to
Yeah.
go. That's how
What Riot did.
important. That's what Riot did. That's
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
almost overnight stardom.
Gotcha.
All right, I have another rebuttal. So, if we want to compare this to Weezer, right? Weezer, outside of their Blue album, has only one song that has hit over 100 million streams on Spotify, and that was Beverly Hills. But Paramore has at least 10 songs that have hit
Oh.
at least 200 million streams
Outside of Riot?
outside of Riot.
This is what I'm trying to say though. Like,
But are they good?
okay, so first off, Haley Williams is incredible.
She's
One of the best
General.
Of our
frontmen.
generation. Yeah,
I'm
of our
not gonna say
generation.
female, just frontmen of our
Of our
generation. Yes,
Look at
I get it.
who she's performed with. Chino Moreno.
Yes.
Maynard from.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
That was a great collab.
incredible.
That was a great collab.
Yeah, she is incredible, and I think she herself is just far more talented than Weezer as a band is.
Yeah.
Okay, name her solo albums.
Ooh.
That's okay. Now you're but to answer to your, I think you're right in that they're a victim of their own success. But I think this happens with bands a lot. You get used to a sound, and this happened with Weezer too with the Blue
Yes.
album. The Blue album's like nerd rock or
Nerd garage.
garage
Yes.
rock,
Yeah.
right? What was Paramore when they came out? It was like the
Epitome of emo.
female Lincoln or female Limp Bizkit kind of thing. Like they fit kind of like a
Female Limp Bizkit.
no, like they're trying to form like a female
Yeah,
new
okay.
metal-y kind of thing, which they never were. And I think, people are trying to listen to that Paramore or that Weezer, but when bands eventually
Evolve.
grow and evolve, they're going to sound
Which they do.
different, which they do. The last album, I guess single that they had a couple of years ago, it's very good. It's just not the same Paramore.
It was
from
last
Riot.
year.
Yeah.
their latest album. It was last year.
Yeah, that's what you get, right?
No,
Now here, I got it right here. It's This Is Why.
this is why.
That's what I was trying to.
This is why.
And then the one before that, that pink one.
After Laughter.
Yeah,
Left.
it sounded very 80s like music. Again, I've listened to it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's just
They haven't been the same.
they haven't been the same. They peaked since Riot, and I mean, again, call me a purist. That for me, that was peak. I was 18, 19, 20 during that time, and it was one of the albums one of the first albums I bought.
Yeah.
To be honest, it hasn't been the same. And then they had a lot of turmoil since then too, with people leaving, coming, calling each other nasty names.
Will they? Won't they?
Yeah, like people leaving the band, calling each other nasty names, and people coming back to the band. But
did that affect the music though?
All right.
I think they might be a victim of that as well.
That's true.
I mean, interpersonal issues happen in bands. I mean, with Deftones, I mean, there was Saturday Night Wrist.
Yeah.
They're arguably one of their better albums, but a lot of turmoil. I think that
That's
might
true.
have been part of it. Like, I get what you're saying. I just disagree. I disagree.
after the Weezer argument, I understand you. I understand you.
Both of you guys had the same argument for both bands.
Yes, you did.
I think we do have the same argument for both bands. I'm gonna have to go check my my fanboy.
Okay. Okay, I will make a ruling. I side with Mayhem on this.
Oh,
I just the numbers that
Fuck you
Figured
guys.
pulled up. Just the numbers that Figured pulled up about how many listens, and like I think when you pick up, we can talk about album success, but we're talking about like commercial, taking each song at a time. They've had hits after Riot.
yes, they have, but for like 2 more albums, 3 more
No,
albums.
their top 10 only has 3 songs from Riot.
Ooh,
It has 3 songs from
It's gonna be
Brand
the
New
Brand New-
Eyes, 2
Brand
songs
New
from their
Eyes,
self-titled, and then
then
Hard
the
Times
Takeover.
from their new one.
All right.
Anything past? Oh, sorry. Anything past probably like 2014
So who has?
is not there.
So who
No,
has
their
the
Hard
more?
Times from 2017 had 483 million streams.
So who has the more dedicated fan base though? Because I think that's.
Oh, okay.
I think that's kind of where.
I mean,
That's a different hot take.
I think that's. I think we're getting. I think that's what we're getting into is the fandom.
Yeah.
Because the fandom can either make you or break you. If
True.
they want the Blue album, they're only going to buy the Blue album. If they want Riot, they're only going to buy Riot, right?
and I'll be. I mean, I've had this hot take with friends that grew up in my generation. You know, right when emo was coming up. I'm always wrong in everyone's eyes because, you know, Hayley Williams, especially like Paramore, Hayley Williams is just like it's a figure. It's untouchable.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
don't you mess with Hayley
You cannot
Williams.
talk bad
Well,
about
she's,
Hayley.
she's kind of an enigma for the era that she was in, though. You have to
That's-
kind of admit
that's
she
true.
stands out as an artist.
Yeah. Well, just like Weezer, Paramore, there was nobody like Paramore at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was nobody like them. And so they,
Shout out to Hey Monday.
There hasn't been in.
and there hasn't been it since. I mean, yeah, when you think about it.
All right, I have another question that
Okay.
could also help the judge in deciding I made another question is like, is Weezer better than Paramore all time? Would the judge buy more Weezer albums or more Paramore albums?
Depends who the judge is.
It's him.
Based
The
on
judge?
yeah, you the judge. On the arguments that they gave just now.
I don't like myself for saying this, but probably Paramore. Because
You know, I brought up the argument, but you want something?
yeah, I know. Okay.
I only have the blue and green album, and I think I have.
You know,
I have
like,
Brand New Eyes, I have Riot, and I have the
So-
self-titled Paramore.
yeah.
So
Okay. So I think you just rebutted your own argument there.
I blew up his
I
own
don't stand by
argument.
my argument.
I think we have the same argument, just
Different bands.
different bands at
Different
different
bands.
scale. So
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna have to go listen to all these.
I know, now we're going to go listen. Which, by the way, here at RockMental, we love both Weezer and Paramore.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong. It's a
Oh,
hot
no.
take. It's a hot take, but I
Uh,
have 3 albums. I love Paramore.
I love Paramore. The Casa Mayhem has all of the records. I only own the Blue album though for Weezer.
for Weezer.
Maybe it's a matter of taste. I don't know.
My
Maybe.
mini groupie, my daughter, belts like 90% of Paramore songs that she can hear because
Yeah.
it's played that often in my
Yeah.
household as well.
Mini Grumpy and Mini Mayhem are jamming Paramore,
Paramore right now.
When I walked in, they were actually had the Riot album. on.
Oh,
So
there you go.
at least they had the good one.